Bourne goes to the left side of centre-back. So it's as I say, it's probably the strongest 11 that's available to him. And then you look down the bench and you look at what he's got on the bench. Obviously, to see Wissa there again, came on, thought he did okay at the weekend. I thought his movement was good. Willock and Ramsey started, did okay, but did they really do enough to push to start tonight? Probably not. Young Miley is a little bit unfortunate because the games that he's played in, he's played well. You know, he's looked good. And you've got Cher, Murphy and Alanga, so all of a sudden the bench looks really strong as well. He's got a good mixture and good balance on that bench at this moment in time. So all in all, I don't think there's too many complaints.
Newcastle United taking on Bayer Leverkusen, who were German champions 2 seasons ago, their first Bundesliga title. They went undefeated, but a lot of change since then. They've lost their manager Xabi Alonso to Real Madrid. A lot of players departed over the summer. Florian Wirtz and Jeremy Frimpong to Liverpool. Granit Xhaka now at Sunderland. Piero Hincapié on loan to Arsenal. There are others. Amin Adli at Bournemouth. Jonathan Tah moved to Bayern Munich. Victor Boniface is now out at Werder Bremen on loan. So big changes. Still got some quality players and some that I'm sure you'll be familiar with. They've made 3 changes tonight. Mark Flecken is the goalkeeper, who played against Newcastle during a couple of years at Brentford before moving to Germany this summer. Jarell Quansah, the Liverpool defender, former Liverpool defender, who started the League Cup final, played at right back against Newcastle at Wembley. He came to Bayer Leverkusen for 35 million over the summer. He's on the right of a back three with Robert Andrich, the German international. I expect him to play at centre-back, although he often is used in midfield. And Edmund Tapsoba, a defender strongly linked to Newcastle last summer when they were trying to sign Mark Gay. He will be at the left of the 3. The 4 across the middle of the park for Leverkusen. The Brazilian right wing-back Arthur. In midfield, the centre, Ibrahim Maza and Alex Garcia, who's got a couple of goals in the Champions League this season. And then on the left-hand side, Alex Grimaldo, Spanish international, who has 8 goals across all competitions. Their joint leading goal scorer with Patrick Schick, the other, on 8. He is the centre forward, a Czech international, one of their leading names. You may remember the brilliant goal that he scored at Hampden Park in Euro 2020 from the halfway line. It was against Scotland, and it was goal of the tournament. He also shared the leading scorer, got the silver boot along with Cristiano Ronaldo at Euro 2020. Either side of Patrick Schick, Ernest Poku, a Dutch under-21 international, and Malik Tillman, who's an American international born in Germany. He is the second most expensive player from the United States, a 35 million signing from PSV after Christian Pulisic went to Chelsea for more than 55 million a few years ago. So that's the Bayer Leverkusen team. On the bench, Yanis Blažević and Niklas Lom, 2 goalkeepers. Loic Bade, Claudio Echeverri, who's on loan from Manchester City, a young Argentinian forward. Axel Tape, Elise Ben Seguir, Nathan Teller, who you may remember from Southampton and Burnley, Christian Kofan and Jonuel Belosia. Newcastle United, Ramsdale, Livramento, Chow, Burnhall, Bruno Tonali, Joelinton, Gordon, Barnes, Voltemada and Wissa again on the bench. BBC Radio Newcastle building up to another Champions League commentary on the continent. We'll bring the match to you live from 8 o'clock. There are about 1,800 Newcastle fans who have tickets for the away section, which is fenced off. It's in the corner away to my right hand side as I look from the very back row of the main stand at the Bay Arena. There are others in black and white in a section behind the goal. to the right-hand side, and there are many others that I've spoken to over the last couple of days in the nearby city of Cologne who say they've managed to get tickets in the home end. I think they may have had to register as a Bayer Leverkusen member or something, but there was availability, and it's very different to Marseille, the feel and the vibe and the friendly nature of this trip, and the stadium and German football and supporters in particular. I know you were here last time Newcastle played in Bayer Leverkusen. You also went to Marseille in the UEFA Cup when they lost at a semi-final there. Two very different away days for the supporters. I think this one, whatever the result, will be more comfortable and more enjoyable, and there is a real fondness for German football, isn't there, from English supporters, and I think this is a good away day for them, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Marseille is hostile, to say the least. You know, once you're in the stadium, the noise, the atmosphere is electric. A little bit more sedate in the stadium than you're in today, but they still make good noise. You know, what only holds just over 30,000, I think. But they're still a decent side, you know, and they're a passionate supporters, the Germans, and they won't make it easy for us, but I just think with that side that we put out tonight, I think we've given ourselves every opportunity to get another 3 points on the board, right?
Newcastle fans making as much noise as they can, drowned out a little bit by the public address system and the drum and the noise from the home fans. The ultras sit in the lower section behind the goal to the left-hand side with the black and red flags out already, and many others with various messages on in German. An enjoyable away trip for many Newcastle fans. Direct flights to Dusseldorf and Cologne at this time of year from Newcastle Airport without having to connect onwards. Many stayed in Dusseldorf, others went to Cologne, both a short train ride away or maybe half an hour in the car. The city of Cologne in particular, very popular at this time of year because of the Christmas markets, which have been a must-see attraction for many black and white. So much black and white on show over the last day or two around the Christmas market, the big cathedral. Next to the Hohenzollern Bridge in Cologne, an arch bridge very similar in design to the Tyne Bridge, and of course the river running through Cologne is the Rhine. So from Tyneside to Rhineside, sort of, for a couple of thousand Newcastle fans, and a few more who didn't have tickets who said they would be looking for bars and pubs, and I'm sure they'll have no problem finding them to watch the match with fellow Geordies and black and whites who couldn't quite get into the stadium. 10 minutes to kick off, warm-ups complete. Newcastle United away to Bayer Leverkusen, match day 6 of the Champions League. It's the second time they've played here, and it was Sir Bobby Robson's side on the great man's 70th birthday who won 3-1 in a group stage match in 2003.
Loire down the right wing, parallel with the penalty area. He's got Chris to try and get past, and now he's being covered too by Ojigwe, but Loire does exceptionally well for Amiobi to head the ball past, but for the opening goal, his second in the Champions League. 5 minutes, it's Bayer Leverkusen 0, Newcastle United and Shola Amiobi 1. Just rolls it out from the sole of his right boot, then right-footed, sends it through the centre. Amiobi leaps above Chris. It breaks for Robert, but he gives it straight back to Chris. But he's let it run for Amiobi, who could be clear. Can he make it 2? He has! It's 2-0! Amiobi on a hat-trick. A quarter of an hour played, and Newcastle now looking as though they're strolling this. For Newcastle by Oliver Neuville, funnily enough, and played to Robert. A chance now for a third! Oh my word! What a lovely finish from Loire. There go the somersaults. The pass effectively set up by Oliver Neuville, who kept the ball in on the touchline, straight down the left of the penalty area. The cross whipped in, and Loire was there for the finish. Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 3.
Ando that day, no Alan Shearer, no Craig Bellamy. No problem for Newcastle without the suspended regular starters. Shola and Luar did the business.
Yeah, I mean, it was a comfortable win on the night, and good performance as well, you know, and especially for Sir Bobby as well on his birthday as well. You know, I'd settle for the same scoreline and same type of performance yet again tonight.
Well, any sort of win would be ideal as the house lights are turned off at the Bay Arena and the stadium illuminated by the advertising boards and some red spotlights that are flashing. Not your favourite thing, Ando, the pre-match light displays. You tend to get them in the Premier League, increasingly so these days. It is a feature of football on the continent as well, as the Bayer Leverkusen team is announced by the public address system, and the images of the players flash up on giant screens at the top of each stand behind the goal to a big cheer to greet the name of every player. The Champions League branding and black and white star flag across the centre circle are placed on the pitch, and the teams should arrive shortly. BBC Radio Newcastle live in Leverkusen. Their most recent Champions League result, the Germans, was a 2-0 victory at Manchester City, a clear sign for Eddie Howe of just how competitive they are in Europe.
Any team that goes to Manchester City and wins instantly demands your attention, really, and I think that game underlined their quality and what they can do and how dangerous they can be. But I don't think it's just that game. I've watched them a lot in the Bundesliga and various competitions, against Dortmund in the Cup recently. Very, very strong team. As I say, very clear identity, very good at rotating positions and playing flexible systems, and that makes them difficult for us to play against. So our preparation's going to have to be really good.
And Newcastle United's German striker Nick Voltemade, and there's much excitement about his homecoming this week. Well, he has played here before. He knows all about Bayer Leverkusen.
I think it will be a tough game this summer. They had a lot of changes in the club, a lot of new players, but the last 2 years with Xabi Alonso, they've been really good. And I just heard, like, when I played here with Bremen like 3 years ago, I didn't know how often I touched the ball, but they played such good football. Even last year, I think, with my old club with Stuttgart, this game's been always really nice to watch. And to be honest, they had a lot of changes, new manager. So I'm excited what's coming tomorrow. But I know they want to play football, and they still have good players. I think you can see now they won in Man City and stuff. So they're also in a good position there. But of course, we want to win this game.
Well, Nick Voltemade with a bit of an inside track there. He played in a 5-0 defeat here 2 seasons ago for Werder Bremen, so not the best day. Been a lot of for him, but been a lot of change here, Ando, as we've discussed, with the manager out, some big name players out. Maybe difficult to judge, but they're only a point behind Newcastle in the Champions League table after getting 2 wins in their last couple of matches, the Man City victory and also a 1-0 away win over Benfica in Portugal. So clearly they are capable at this level, and we'll find out a bit more about just how stiff of a test this will be for Newcastle shortly.
Yeah, look, there's been a lot of change there, hasn't there? You know, they won the Bundesliga 2 seasons ago. They went the whole season basically unbeaten. They lost the UEFA Cup final, I think, in Dublin, didn't they? I think that was their only defeat of the season. So they had very, very good players, but they've lost a lot of them big hitters, Razor. You know, they've lost a manager as well. It's been a sort of a rebuild, but a present toured in the Bundesliga. They lost at the weekend. They lost 2-0 at the weekend. So the win at Manchester City was big for them, but I don't think you should get too carried away about that win, because Manchester City made 10 changes on the night, and Guardiola came out afterwards and said he probably made too many changes. I just think when you look at this side, when you look at this Newcastle side, and you look at when they play with the intensity that they play at when they're at their best, and they play, they're a match for anybody. You know, they can give anybody a game. Those midfield three, great energy levels, put themselves about, great physicality about them. You know, you've got Gordon, who'll probably start on the left, whose pace can be frightening. Voltemade will want to go back to his own home country and put a performance in, you would imagine. And Barnes has been on fire lately as well. So, you know, we've got players that can hoard them. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
It's BBC Radio Newcastle, the sound of the northeast, but live from Leverkusen in Western Germany tonight. The sound of the Champions League for Newcastle United once more.
Been relatively pleased with how we've done in the Champions League this year. I think the Barcelona game was a strong performance. Actually, the two defeats we've had have been similar patterns in games where I think we've been really strong in our performance, but we haven't come away with what I felt we deserved in both of those games. So we don't want that empty feeling again. This will be a really tough game. Leverkusen are an outstanding football team. They play a really good style, very true to their identity. They never deviate from it. Got some really good players. So this will be a tough game, but also another test of how far we've come and how far we've got to go.
Newcastle United trying to strengthen their chances of continuing in Europe beyond the group stage of the Champions League. Shake the hands of their opponents from the German Bundesliga and greet the referee, who is from the Netherlands, Serdar Gözübüyük, who is of Turkish ancestry, and the rest of the officials are all Dutch. The fourth of the VAR is Rob Diepering. The assistant VAR is from Belgium. Regular Champions League officials. VAR in use throughout the competition. The goal line technology as usual, the semi-automated offsides in case required, and Newcastle wearing a kit that is not the most popular, is it, Ando, among the supporters?
No.
The green away kit, white shorts and socks, but they did wear this at Everton, so there is some precedent for victory finally in the away kit.
Yeah, I mean, it's split people, hasn't it, that green kit? Early doors we weren't able to buy a win, but we went to Everton and won it, and we scored 4 goals, and hopefully it's a lucky omen for us again tonight.
3 wins and 2 defeats so far for Newcastle United. By Leverkusen, 2 wins that we talked about a moment ago, 2 draws and a defeat from their opening 5. They are wearing predominantly black shirts with red trim and red numbers and letters on the back, black shorts and socks, and the goalkeeper, who is hidden by his teammates, is in orange Flecken, who only cost about £8 million from Brentford in the summer. He turns and applauds the ultras behind the goal, which I suggest is a wise thing to do. Get them on side early, and Newcastle United emerge from their huddle in the centre of their half of the pitch. Eddie Howe's men will be shooting towards the goal at the left-hand side, towards the ultras, who will be, I'm sure, a noisy group of Bayer Leverkusen supporters throughout the night. The ball at the feet of Bruno Guimaraes. He captains the side. It's Ramsdale in goal. Livramento, Chow, Burn, Hall, Bruno, Tonali, Joelinton, Barnes, Gordon, Voltemade. We're underway on BBC Radio Newcastle and the Newcastle United website and app. And a long ball forwards from the Magpies, collected by Flecken. In front of him, Kwanzaa, Andrich and Tapsoba. 4 over midfield, Arthur, Maza, Garcia and Grimaldo, and the front 3, Tillman, Poku and Schick. Flecken walks the ball around his penalty area and then decides to go long. Lewis Hall climbs and gets a good header on it. Joelinton down on his thigh, across to Livramento. middle of Newcastle's half, back to Joelinton, looking for Barnes, who started on the right of the attack with Gordon to the left of Voltemada, and Aaron Ramsdale comes out of his penalty box to receive a pass from Livramento, and it's on to Hall, and now Gordon trying to take on his man to run at Quansah. They'll know each other well from Premier League encounters, from Merseyside, from England duty. Here's Malik Chow, right-sided centre-back, over halfway, gets it back from Harvey Barnes. We're in the second minute, and Newcastle enjoying some possession around the middle part of the pitch. They go back to Ramsdale, who plays it short to Byrne. Hall comes to get it. It's back to Dan Byrne. Takes a touch, gets closed down. Ramsdale now lifts it up towards halfway. Barnes beaten in the air, but Sandro Tonali's onto it in a flash and is on his way up the right wing. Gets to the touchline, plays it back, but straight to a black shirt and straight to the feet of Patrick Schick, the tall Czech centre forward. Tapsoba, the centre back, to goalkeeper Flecken as Bayer go back and start again. Schick tries to chest it on. Joelinton gets it in the centre circle. Away go Newcastle. Tonali to Barnes in space on the right wing. 4 in the middle. Barnes' cross is blocked and it loops up, and he brings it down with a nice touch on that far side. Gets it back from Bruno. 0-0. Chow to Byrne in the centre circle. Furthest Newcastle player back. Bruno in the middle of the park. Receives it. Has a couple of touches. Plays it to Hall. Gordon drops in to get it. Inside to Bruno. Barnes making a run at the edge of the area. It's rolled about 10 yards across midfield to Tonali, back to Bruno, and floated over to Livramento. It's a confident start in possession from Newcastle. No chances yet, but trying to find a way through. Chow back to Livramento, forced back to Byrne on halfway, and then first time on the turn to Ramsdale, whose starting position is about 10 yards up from the box. Hall in behind now for Gordon to chase. There's 2 Bayer Leverkusen players there. Quansah manages to watch it out next to the corner flag, and they can stay high up the pitch here.
Yeah, it's been a bright start, hasn't it? It's been a bright start, confident start, keeping the ball, moving the ball well. We've seen plenty of it.
Quansah's long throw. Hall with a header. Joelinton challenges. Sliding tackle from Voltemada, but this is a good run through midfield for Bayer Leverkusen, and then Malik Chow with a nice turn in Newcastle's half to get away from an attacker. The run from Ibrahim Maza, the Algerian international, beat a couple of challenges, made good progress, but Newcastle put a stop to the attack.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of balls played out wide, was it? But defended well.
Hall to Bruno, just behind halfway, left side. Chow with Livramento backpedaling into space on the far touchline. Puts his foot on the ball, comes inside, plays it short to Chow, who was born in nearby Dusseldorf, so he'll have strong links to this part of Germany. Up to Byrne and on to Joelinton, round the corner for Bruno, look to play it in behind Arthur for Anthony Gordon, but it's cut out by the Brazilian, and then back to Flecken on the edge of the penalty area. Alex Garcia, that's a risky ball to Tapsoba. Barnes was closing down. They haven't really left their defensive third yet by Leverkusen. Now they're back in their own penalty box. Voltemada puts the pressure on. It's up towards Schick. Chow makes a challenge. It's there to be won. Voltemada's header inside. Joelinton with a nod to Gordon, who brings it down. Looks for Livramento. Back to Bruno, dominating possession after 5 minutes. Newcastle. This is Harvey Barnes, right corner of the box, taking on Tapsoba. Finds space and then a shot, which is saved low down by the near post by Flecken.
Yeah, comfortable stop, wasn't it? But he's capable. You know, he's come in off that right side. We've seen him do it many a time from the left side. On this occasion, he just shifts it inside, hits it with his left foot. Comfortable save for Flecken.
Flick inside from Schick, and this has got Bayer Leverkusen running and trying to get in behind. Ramsdale stays in his 6-yard box and lets Chow deal with it. He puts it out for a throw on the near side. communication there between goalkeeper and defender, and they avoided a Marseille situation.
Yeah, it was a good break, wasn't it? Worked it well through midfield. Challenged them well, covered the ground well, took no chances.
Throw taken, it goes back to the captain, Robert Andrich, German international. And now on halfway for Bayer Leverkusen, up between the Newcastle line of midfield and defence for Gerald Quansah. Another flick. They like a flick, don't they? That time it was Alejandro Grimaldo who was playing on the left wing. He drifted into the middle. Aaron Ramsdale comes to gather, and wearing light blue and short sleeves rolls it out to Dan Burn. Lewis Hall here under a bit of pressure, gets a return ball from Bruno and is fouled as he tried to control. Free kick given the way of Newcastle United on the near side. 0-0 in Leverkusen after 7 minutes.
It's been a lively start, hasn't it? We've seen plenty of the ball, no real chances as of yet.
Just the effort from Barnes, which was comfortably held low down by the keeper. Ramsdale now out to Bruno, who has quite a bit of space and has a good look either side. Voltemada tried to whip it in behind Ernest Poku, the left forward, but he tucked in and cut it out as Newcastle tried to get Livramento and Barnes away. They go back to Flecken. Joelinton's won it just outside the area. Barnes for Voltemada, back to goal, laid off, and Joelinton in a block challenge, and it comes into the hands of Flecken, but they played a risky pass. Newcastle got it back but couldn't make the most of the situation. They were closed down pretty quickly after the initial mistake, and here's a Bayer Leverkusen attack, edge of the area. Schick on the turn, blocked in the box by Chow, and Gordon's got it 10 yards outside the area and wins a free kick for a foul by Maza. Gordon gets back up, but drama at both ends there.
Yeah, I mean, good pinch by Joelinton on the edge of the penalty area, didn't make the most of it, but then they broke, and they broke quickly, you know, so you've got to be wary of that. Throwing too many bodies forward when they break, they can cause you a problem.
Newcastle United with Lewis Hall looking for Anthony Gordon. It's gone out, and Gordon takes a quick throw to Joelinton, has a couple of touches, passes it to Bruno, tries to flick it around Schick, but they've lost it, Newcastle, and it's at the feet of Malik Tillman, close to the edge of the area. Now Arthur on the near side, back it goes to Quansah, and the Germans keeping the ball, playing it across midfield. Grimaldo got their first goal in the win at Manchester City, also scored in the Champions League against Copenhagen in a draw here, and it goes back to Alex Garcia, diagonal ball to the left wing, Ernest Poku, but there's a decision for Newcastle United. Ball must have gone out. It's going to be a throw for Tino Livramento. 10 minutes played. Eddie Howe out there with his arms behind his back, and the Bayer Leverkusen technical area, the assistant coach Roger Meyer is in charge tonight. The head coach, the manager, who is Kasper Hjulmand, the former Danish national team coach, is missing the game for personal reasons. He replaced Erik ten Hag, the ex-Man United boss, earlier in the season after just a short spell by Leverkusen for Ten Hag, having come in as the man with an unenviable task of succeeding the successful Xabi Alonso, now at Real Madrid. Free kick on halfway for the home team. On the right hand side, Newcastle get back into their own half, and after a good start, a lot of possession, and the Barnes shot, which was a straightforward save for goalkeeper Flecken, Bayer Leverkusen have seen a little bit more of the ball in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's quieted down a little bit, hasn't it? Bayer Leverkusen, I should say, seen a bit more of the ball, but it's been a bright start by us, but it's evened out a little bit possession wise, hasn't it?
with Leverkusen. Across midfield to centre-back and captain Andrik. Lifted into the penalty box now and headed out to the right wing. Lewis Hall comes across, gets his boot to the ball, concedes a throw. Quickly taken by Arthur. Got one cap for Brazil. The Leverkusen right wing back. Here's Edmund Tapsoba, plays for Burkina Faso at international level. Forwards it goes, now into the area. Livramento with an interception. Chow tries to clear. Byrne with a strong challenge. And a couple of hopeful appeals from the stands for a foul. Nothing given. Play goes on. It's out on the left wing with Poku. Rolls it back to the edge of the area. The layoff. And then the shot hit by Andrik, left-footed. Blocked by Newcastle on the edge of the area. Still having to defend. And Poku gets in, near to the goal line. Put behind by Chow at the near post. Newcastle appeal for a goal kick. But corner is the decision of the Dutch referee.
He didn't want to play it with his left foot, did he? Tracked him back onto his right foot. The corner kick, first corner kick of the evening, goes to the home side.
Serdar Gozubuyuk pointed to the corner, despite Newcastle players going to him and claiming that there was a touch from Chow's clearance off a man in black for Bayer Leverkusen. The corner's going to be on the far side. The Leverkusen left, but it's a right-footed delivery. Referees just had a word with players in the middle, and now it's whipped into the back post. It's in. The header's taken a touch off a player in green. It might have gone in off Bruno. Andrik, the captain, back stick, tried to head it back across, and I think that's gone in off Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes. One captain onto the other, and they are behind early in Germany. It's Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 0.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? We heard Eddie Howe saying that set pieces have let us down, we haven't defended them properly, and yet again it's another one, isn't it? Just delivered back post, he gets up above Tonali. Tonali doesn't jump, heads it straight onto the back of Guimaraes, who knows absolutely nothing about it. There's nothing he can do about it, and it ricochets into the back of the net.
Bruno Guimaraes in the 13th minute, credited with an own goal. Didn't know anything, couldn't do anything. Ramsdale had come across to the near post to try and cover that side of the goal, and the ball went in a more central position. So nothing that he could do as he scrambled to get across to try to stop it, and they're going to have to come from behind.
Yeah, but yet again it's the set pieces, isn't it? You know, as I say, Eddie Howe spoke about defending set pieces properly. Yet again, we haven't done it.
Gordon for Tonali, centre of the attacking half. Gordon moves up towards the edge of the box, away from the left wing. Tonali now to Byrne and Chow. Every Bayer Leverkusen player currently behind the ball. Malik Chow passes it with his left to Livramento on the far side. Barnes has dropped in and gives it back to Chow. Ramsdale again starting outside of his penalty area, has the ball at his feet, takes a touch, plays it to the left. Dan Byrne now onto Lewis Hall, up to Gordon, but they've lost it, and then Gordon's won it back, and Hall gets away from a challenge, is able to get it safely to Byrne. Hall gets it back and then decides to go into the box with the pass to Ramsdale, who takes a big first touch and then clips one towards the halfway line, but it was kind of between Barnes and Livramento, and they lose possession. And then Livramento makes a block on Grimaldo's flick up the line and concedes a throw. 1-0 down, not in the script, but an own goal that certainly wasn't a comical own goal, and an unfortunate one. Bruno with the last touch from Andrik's header from the corner, and a corner kick that Newcastle felt shouldn't have been given, but I've not seen it back to be able to review it. Here's Byrne for Bruno. Can they do something at the other end? Barnes just inside the area, cuts inside on his left. Harvey Barnes, another comfortable save low down to the left from Flecken. a replica of his earlier effort. It lacked power, and the goalkeeper was able to get there without too much trouble.
Yeah, he scuffed it, hasn't he? Yet again, he just drops his shoulder, comes inside, left foot just scuffs it into the ground. Easy take at his near post for the goalkeeper.
Flecken gets it back. He's their undisputed number one. He's played all the Champions League and Bundesliga games, and they pings it towards Poku. Joelinton's got it, playing it back into his own half. Byrne goes to collect the ball. Lots of time to come back though. We're only in the 17th minute. Hall and Tonali, nice link up in the middle. Baltamada to the right to Barnes. Joelinton, there's lots of black shirts back, and to be honest, more black shirts than green shirts in this part of the pitch, but Newcastle still trying to build an attack here. Baltamada, edge of the area to Joelinton, who has been dispossessed. I don't think he was expecting it. Wasn't sharp enough, but then Bruno's won it back, goes shoulder to shoulder with Poku on the far side. And now Newcastle through Barnes, come in off the right wing. Bruno into the corner for Livramento. First time cross, hung up too high for Gordon, and it's a useful header from Maza to find a teammate. And Dan Burn, that's going to be a free kick for the challenge on Schick out on the near touchline. No yellow card, just a free kick. And on the point of a yellow card, Dan Burn and Joelinton have to be careful, because they will miss Newcastle's next Champions League fixture, a one-match ban in the league phase if they receive a booking tonight, those two. Bayer Leverkusen bring it forwards from the penalty box, and then Andrik stops, comes inside. Tonali with the pressure here on Alex Garcia, back to the goalkeeper. Flecken goes long. Hall, bit isolated, with Arthur making the run, but they've got it back safely to Ramsdale, who picks it up. It's in one hand, and he's communicating with his defenders, drops it at the edge of the box. Dan Burn in possession. 1-0 down Newcastle in Germany. Joelinton, misplaced pass by Leverkusen, misplaced the forward ball, goes straight to Chow fortunately, and out to Barnes on the right. Now Livramento has dropped his shoulder and turned. That's good from Livramento. Tonali out wide, Barnes a bit further back. Newcastle 35 yards from the Bayer Leverkusen goal, still with possession. BBC Radio Newcastle. This is Bruno at the front of the centre circle to Joelinton, back to Hall, having more possession again, John Anderson, like they did in the opening stages before they conceded.
Yeah, having plenty of the ball. Still haven't worked the goalkeeper enough yet. They had those two shots from Barnes, but that's been it.
Schick with a flick to Poku, trying to take on Chow. Livramento goes across, they double up near the corner of the penalty area. Bayer Leverkusen attacking the goal to the right, and they bring it into a midfield area where it's laid off by Malik Tillman, the American. Back to Edmund Tapsoba. He plays it short to the left hand side, and slow, patient build up. Newcastle with a 4 at the back and 5 across the middle. Baltamada more advanced, it's on halfway, and Andrik plays it first time back inside. The German international taps about onto Grimaldo, one of the smaller players out there at 5'7". Alex Grimaldo, or Alejandro Grimaldo as he is on the team sheet. He's got the ball again. He's been a big player for them this season with his 8 goals. Tapsoba from Newcastle pressure, forced to turn and go back into his own half. Now a challenge on the ball, Newcastle, but they don't win it. And Bayer Leverkusen are in, and there's a challenge at the edge of the area, and a penalty kick is awarded. The referee has pointed to the spot by the looks of things, and a yellow card is shown, just checking that the foul was actually inside the box. Newcastle, who disputed the corner that led to the first goal, go to referee Serdar Gozubayuk again. Patrick Schick is down on the 6-yard line, and he pointed forwards. It looked like he pointed to the penalty spot for the challenge. Yellow card was shown but this is fast getting away from Newcastle United, and it was Malik Chow who made the challenge on Schick, just trying to see where it was. I think it was in the D, so they may be checking exactly where it was. And I don't think the foul continued inside the box, because he's just put an arm on Schick's shoulder, and it's his shoulder that he's holding. But Chow's yellow carded rather than red, fortunately. They're going to have to look at this and see whether it was inside or outside the box, aren't they? I'm certain the referee pointed to the spot, but let's see how this sorts itself out. It may be penalty, it may be free kick. It did look like it was in the D, close to the 18-yard line, didn't it?
Yeah, it's one you need to see again. I mean, they're checking it. He ended up inside the penalty area, but whether the actual foul was inside the penalty area or not remains to be seen. Opened us up too easy though, didn't it?
Yeah, there's a penalty check. We've got the VAR graphics on the giant television screens at either end of the stadium, and that's what they're looking at. Was it inside or outside the box? What will the referee's decision be? I think, hang on, he looks like he's pointing at the 18-yard line, and it's going to be a free kick by the looks of things. The ball is being placed down. There's some vanishing spray applied to the grass. It's free kick rather than penalty, and that is a let-off for Newcastle United, because Chow got a hold of Schick in the D, had his hand on his shoulder, and I think just let go as Schick started to fall into the penalty box. So they've given them a free kick, which they're going to take to the left of the D, but it's not a penalty, and that's the main news. Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 0. 23 minutes played now. They do have to defend a free kick. We'll bring Ando back in just a second, as they prepare to shoot for goal. I say shoot, that was a dink, and it was well over the top from Grimaldo, who got no power in it at all, and it's quite a way over the top of the crossbar. Aaron Ramsdale will be delighted he chose that type of shot technique. So it's still 1-0, and that situation resolved itself, Ando, in a manner that was more than satisfactory for Newcastle United, who could have been 1-0 down and facing a penalty and potentially a red card. Yeah, I mean, but yet again they opened us up too easy, didn't they? But the free kick, I'm not too sure what he's thinking of with the free kick. It's an awful free kick. They had more of the ball in the opening period, looked confident enough, and then went behind to an own goal after a corner, and they've had a let-off there. We're just past the midway point in the first half on BBC Radio Newcastle, live in Germany. More Champions League football for Newcastle United. Their 35th Champions League fixture in all, including qualifiers. Their 146th European fixture in their history. Looking to find a leveller with Barnes 30 yards out, right wing, back to Chow. Bayer Leverkusen might feel they've got it under control. Everybody is back, although they are down to 10 because Schick is still off receiving treatment. Gordon, his right-footed cross in swinging from the left is blocked, and it's gone for a throw just about 20 yards from the goal, near side of the pitch. Hall plays it across to Chow in the middle. Bruno Guimaraes onto Harvey Barnes, who has to stretch to control it, and then Barnes is sent to the floor by Grimaldo. Free kick, easy decision for the referee to give. About 30 yards out on the right wing for Newcastle United. And forwards go Byrne and Chow. Yeah, got the big boys in there. Decent delivery. Bruno Guimaraes, whose corners have certainly been good, as we saw on Saturday. now takes a free kick. That looks decent, but it's just too long for Chow at the back of the box. Gordon can't get there. Arthur clears. Hall on halfway has the chance and has space to bring it down. Inside it goes to Livramento, one young fullback to the other. And Bruno just ahead of halfway. He's going to look long again. Joelinton there. Heads it on. Byrne in the middle. Cleared as far as Tonali. Lifted up but away from Voltemada. Tapsoba heads clear. And Joelinton wins a header in midfield. Hall to Gordon. Rolled inside for Joelinton, who turns. Finds Tonali in the middle. His pass to Livramento. And they're putting together another attack, Newcastle. 1-0 down. Bruno to Hall, who's come into the centre, 25 yards out, back to Byrne, and now Chow. Barnes has got space, it's up to Voltemada, but his layoff goes straight to a Leverkusen player. And they don't clear it convincingly, but now they can get away. Alex Garcia on to Grimaldo, and now Poku goes forwards, pursued by Tonali, who dispossesses him, plays it to Chow. Great work from Tonali, as we see him do so often, and quick play by Newcastle. Barnes with a smart layoff to Bruno, swept over to Gordon, wide left, now in the Bayer Leverkusen half. 27 minutes gone. Gordon support on the outside from Hall, back inside to Gordon. Little ball to Joelinton, straight back to Anthony Gordon. No chance for the shot, but he's whipped it over to Livramento. Now Barnes, right corner of the area. Inside to Bruno. Someone trying to find space for the shot. The through ball towards Voltemada. One back by Leverkusen. Dan Byrne then wins it back for Newcastle and gives it away. And now up to halfway. And here they go with Schick back on and in the middle. And Leverkusen on the outside. Then back inside, and Ramsdale gets down to make a very important save. As they cut in, it was Mazza who had a couple of step overs, chopped inside on his left, little inside hook, and then rolled a low shot which didn't have enough power, and Ramsdale there to make the save.
It's that break again, isn't it? You know, throwing bodies forward, but all of a sudden they break, and they look dangerous on the break.
The scoreboard inside the Bayer Arena, which holds just over 30,000 and has about 1,800 Newcastle fans in, has given the goal to Andrik. I don't know if that's a decision taken locally or by UEFA with a less partial view to proceedings, but it went in off Bruno Guimaraes, and I don't think it was on target, the header following the corner. It's a stadium that's been redeveloped since Newcastle's last trip here 22 years ago, 2009. They did some more work to it. They added a hotel behind the goal to the left, and a new roof was put on, floating roof, a bit like a crown. It's white and oval shaped, like I don't know, like a wheel with spokes on to connect it all together. It's not one of the biggest grounds in Germany, but an impressive structure. 2 tiers around 3 sides, and then single tier and hospitality boxes behind the goal to the right. Bayer Leverkusen have it in midfield, leading 1-0 through that goal that we were just discussing. This is Anthony Gordon getting it from Lewis Hall, who's won it back. Gordon dispossessed as he tried to take on Kwanzaa. It's gone out for a throw, which is Newcastle's on halfway. Lewis Hall gets it back into play quickly, and now Dan Byrne over to Chow and Harvey Barnes, who has got 4 goals in 5 Champions League appearances before tonight. Anthony Gordon also 4 Champions League goals for Newcastle, like his 6 in total this season. This is Gordon on the ball, on the outside, wins a corner. Arthur deflects Gordon's cross behind.
Yeah, you want to see him do more of that, don't you? Have a go to fall back down the outside.
Bruno's coming across to take it. Every time he takes a corner now, especially from this side, the Newcastle left, there will be the question of whether he can do it again like he did against Burnley. Let's see what he's got with this delivery. It is whipped into the 6-yard box. They stab it wide of the near post. Oh, it bounced and dropped in the middle, close to goal. And it looks like it was Nick Voltemade who prodded it towards the bottom left post, but just wide of the post. Maybe it wasn't Voltemade, maybe it was played against him. I think it came off Quansah rather than Voltemade, who may not have got a great, a particularly big touch on it as he stuck out his left boot to try and divert it goalwards.
Yeah, I don't think he got a touch on it, to be fair, but yet again, it's a decent delivery into a dangerous area, isn't it? Could have went anywhere, to be fair. Good delivery in again, though.
Gordon closing down Quansah, who has a touch, comes out to the wide position on halfway, gets it back from Arthur, then goes to the goalkeeper. Flecken with height and distance on that ball, which is headed by Chow. Then Livramento to Joelinton, who climbs, takes it on his chest. Joelinton, Lewis Hall, nice turn. Oh, he's got away from Arthur there and done extremely well. And Hall are floated diagonal. Barnes looking for it, but it's well defended, and it was very well defended actually by Poku, who got back a long way into his own box and forward to nod it back into the hands of Flecken, who's got it on the floor in the box, plays it short. Newcastle with a high press, attempting to win it back. Andrik with a back heel, and they're able to bring it clear. But Tonali is covering, slides in, and that's very well done by Tonali on Arthur, and Hall's got it now for Newcastle, and it's on halfway with Gordon. Losing 1-0 in the 33rd minute now, following the header from the corner on 13 minutes that went in off Bruno. Gordon on the outside, left-footed cross. It's dropped at the feet of Livramento, 5 yards outside the area. Tonali plays it to Barnes. It's closed down. It's short to Livramento, just inside the box. He tries to go back out wide, but he's lost it. And forwards it goes from Tapsoba, but there's nobody there in black, only Newcastle, green and white, Big Dan Burn, and Tonali comes to collect on halfway on the right hand side. Joelinton next to the centre circle, back to Tonali. Bruno on the move in midfield, takes the ball to pass to Livramento, then Tonali, and now Dan Burn 10 yards from halfway. Tonali gets it, Bruno gives him an angle inside, they go out wide to Livramento, looking for Barnes. He's rather hit Barnes, but he's managed to keep it under control. He's on the touchline and then being dispossessed by Ernest Poku, and Bayer Leverkusen go back with it to Flecken. Voltemade gives chase, goalkeeper floated ball. Hall takes it down neatly on his chest. Joelinton turns, gets away from Tillman, and this is Barnes. A little bit of room, right side, sticks in the cross for Voltemade, but it's flicked away by Andrik, who got into a good position to deal with the delivery, and it's out for a throw on the near side.
Yeah, good ball played in, wasn't it? A lot of pace on it. Germans defended it well.
Lewis Hall has handed a white towel to dry the ball. And we're expecting a long throw. Tonali could get it short if he makes a quick run, but no. Hall into the middle. Burn flicks on. Voltemade looking for it. Out it comes. Gordon brings it down and wasn't sure where to go, and goes back to Ramsdale at the centre circle. Livramento was there, and we've seen in recent games his reluctance to shoot. He maybe could have taken it, Livramento, and gone for the effort, but Gordon ended up going back, and now they've lost it and conceded a throw. Lewis Hall had two on him and got challenged, and the ball went out on halfway. So from a good position, they've ended up not even creating a chance, Newcastle, but they've won it back on halfway. Bayer Leverkusen have lost it as they've tried to play forwards. And Burn onto Bruno. Barnes, Livramento overlapping run. The cross turned onto Flecken, who dives and it reacts and palms it behind. Off Grimaldo onto Flecken from Livramento's ball into the centre. Newcastle have a corner on the right.
Yeah, better. It's better, isn't it? Good ball played in. defender plays it, keeper's got to dive, that's going in, that's beating the keeper if he doesn't make that save.
The corner from Lewis Hall. 36th minute as Newcastle try to level the scores in Germany. It's all the way across the 6-yard box and bounces. It was a great delivery into a really dangerous area, but everybody went front post, ball went back stick and went behind without a touch.
Oh, it's a great ball again, isn't it? It just needs a touch. Somebody needs to stay out and come in and attack that. It's a fabulous ball in.
John Anderson, the former Newcastle defender, the Newcastle United Hall of Famer, with us. He's in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio tonight. Matthew Raisbeck in the Bay Arena in Leverkusen. They've won it back. Bruno onto Barnes in the penalty area. Looks for Voltemada. Handrick away. Out for a throw on the far side, level with the box. The ball from Barnes was probably never getting to Voltemada. But again, Bayer Leverkusen, who they've been so wasteful in possession when they've tried to play up the pitch. They've got Newcastle on the break a couple of times, but more often than not, there's been a turnover of possession with United winning it back. They just can't quite get the final ball right.
Oh, they can't keep it at the moment, can they?
Livramento's long throw from the far side. Header up by Byrne. Joe Linton there to Bayer Leverkusen head. Then it's Byrne, and it's nodded back to the goalkeeper. Very neatly done. Very coolly done. But I think it was Andrick, who you can see is a very experienced and quality player, the captain. This is Arthur on halfway. Hall's pushed the ball back. Newcastle can't get there. Bayer Leverkusen continue in possession. Tonali making a challenge, as does Hall. They block the pass up the line, attempted by Tillman. And it's a throw for the hosts on the right in their half of the pitch, as they look for options in the Newcastle half. Schick comes short, the big striker, takes a touch with his left. Byrne makes a strong challenge. It's gone out again, and a throw's gone the way of Bayer Leverkusen that Newcastle can't believe. The assistant referee on the near side, Erwin Zeinstra, had absolutely no idea which way to give it and decided to play it safe and go with the home team. Newcastle win it back straight from the throw. Lewis Hall with a header. Bruno taking them forwards. Livramento always joining in the attack, gets it here. Barnes comes short, 20 yards out. Barnes onto Livramento again, back to Bruno. First time delivery cleared. It lacked power, the cross from Bruno. He's got it again, whips it with the outside of his right boot around a Bayer Leverkusen player to Tonali, deep in midfield. Byrne onto Hall, and this is Anthony Gordon. Maybe a chance to run at Arthur. He does. Still got it, Gordon. Support behind him from Joe Linton. Across to Chow. Closed down quickly. Barnes here. Bruno with him. 5 yards behind him on the right wing. Barnes twisting, turning. Eventually comes back to Bruno. Chow to Bruno again. Byrne on the inside. Bruno flicks it forwards for Chow. He's got space. Voltemada wants it edge of the area. It's instead to Livramento. Still on the right wing, Newcastle. 1-0 down. Tonali to Livramento. They're passing it well enough. There's plenty of movement. Players finding space, but there was a bit of this against Burnley on Saturday. Maybe a bit of overplay, wanting to score the perfect goal. A couple of players have maybe had the opportunity to take the shot on. It would be a risk, but Flecken's not really been tested properly so far. Just a couple of efforts from Barnes and a cross that came off his own defender. They've still got possession, United. They've kept it all this time. Barnes comes in off the right wing. It's a good run. It's Joe Linton, whipped round the corner. And Tonali there, challenged by Tapsoba, cleared. That's gone out for a throw, 30 yards from the Leverkusen goal. 5 minutes to half time on BBC Radio Newcastle.
Yeah, kept the ball well, moved it well. Just need that end product, don't we?
Gordon inside to Bruno. Every player for Bayer Leverkusen between the ball and the goal, and they've kept it quite narrow. Newcastle trying to get it wide, particularly on the right hand side, which is where they are now, with Tonali and for Barnes, who has a bit of room, then delivers. It's behind Voltemada. Joelinton has a touch but loses out. Arthur was able to take it away from him and stick it out of play on the near side. Hall with a quick throw. Burn to Chow. Newcastle 56% possession across the opening 41 minutes, but trailing by a goal to nil. Barnes again in off the right wing. Good run by Barnes. Bruno back towards Barnes, but cut out by Maza. And that's an interesting ball up the left wing. Brought inside there by Poku, but who else but Sandro Tonali would be back to chase him down and do the defensive work and win it back for Newcastle. Hall towards Voltemada, and the striker's done well from a difficult ball to play it back, and Tonali to Bruno. Home fans I think getting frustrated that it's all Newcastle with possession, but they need to create a big chance. Barnes to Livramento, clipped into the box. Joelinton tries to flick it on, it's half-headed clear. Barnes has got it back, and a free kick's been given, and I think that's for handball against Harvey Barnes. There's no offside. Barnes with his arms outstretched looks quizzically at the referee. Free kick for Bayer Leverkusen. Newcastle attack comes to an end.
I'd like to see that one again. I haven't seen that. I think that's a bit hard.
Header from Byrne from the free kick. Tonali to Gordon's got space. There were some appeals for handball initially.
Yeah, hit him on the chest.
Surely that's what it was given for. Gordon goes between two defenders, and Andrić comes across and plays it against the Newcastle man, and it goes out near the corner flag. And I think Gordon's getting frustrated. Don't know if it's at the referee or some of his colleagues nearby. It's in the corner on the Bayer Leverkusen right, so to the left as we look at it. Newcastle have got a number of players forwards. They don't want the ball to go up the pitch. Byrne heads it away. Tillman with a header into midfield, and they've got it clear. And it's Poku onto Grimaldo and back through for Poku, and there's trouble here in the penalty area. Ramsdale stands big and makes a good two-handed save, and then Joelinton turns it onto Bruno, and now for Barnes. Voltemada could be in. Voltemada, no offside, just inside the Bayer Leverkusen half. Back to Barnes. Gordon edge of the area on the left. Gordon cuts inside, back heels it to Barnes, and they lose it. And it's brought clear into midfield by Alex Garcia. Newcastle needed Ramsdale at one end when Ernest Poku ran through on goal, and the effort had plenty of height on it. Ramsdale stayed up and pushed it away, and then a decent break, but it broke down at the edge of the area when Gordon tried a back heel.
Yeah, it was a comfortable height for Ramsdale, wasn't it? Comfortable save in the end, but yeah, didn't make the most of the break, did we?
Final minute of the opening 45. Newcastle trailing by a goal to nil. 13 minutes the time of it, and headed in by Robert Andrić off Bruno Guimaraes following a Leverkusen corner from the left. Quansah on a run up the touchline, plays it against Hall. And throw slap bang on halfway from Tillman. Alex Garcia, the midfielder who had 5 years at Manchester City, only played 9 times for them. One of these young players that they signed and loaned out a few times. Big part of the Bayer Leverkusen team, Garcia. He plays it forwards, and Joelinton with a foul in the middle of the park. Typical Joelinton. 2 minutes of additional time a minimum of 2 minutes will be played at the end of the first half here at the Bay Arena. Tapsoba, centre back in central midfield, trying to drop it in behind Hall for Arthur. That's a great first touch, and he's kept it in on the line with his second. Now standing up, Lewis Hall. Quansah in the penalty area. Quansah's shot tipped over by Aaron Ramsdale. That's a very smart save from the Newcastle United goalkeeper on his first Champions League appearance for the club. Arthur did brilliantly, and Quansah appeared from nowhere, the defender. Ramsdale near side has just got fingertips on it to push it over.
It's a good save. It's a couple of good stops that he's made. It's a good hit. Did well to keep it in on that right hand side. He just rolls it into him, gets it out of his feet, hits it first time. Good stop.
Got a pat on the head from Malik Chow. Congratulations for the save. And the ball may have clipped the crossbar as well, looking at a replay. Anyway, here's the corner, left-footed. Voltemada gets up and heads it away and behind on the far side. So they've dealt with that by a Leverkusen corner. Only their second of the night and the first since they scored the goal. And now it's another for the hosts in the first half added on time period. Alex Garcia to deliver, and Joelinton is with Andrich round the back. It's not Tonali's man this time. It was this side of the pitch that they sent the corner in for the goal. Referee has stopped proceedings because players are holding each other. I think it was Joelinton on Andrich. He gave him a push, and he's got his arms on him again. The corner is sent in near post. Big Voltemada up, and another header clear, and a foul spotted by referee Gozubuyuk. And now the half-time whistle. These two teams in the Champions League table separated by only a point at kick-off. Now they're separated by a single goal on the night, and it's Bayer Leverkusen who lead with an own goal credited to Bruno Guimaraes. Nothing he could do. Corner kick whipped in, headed against the Newcastle captain, and they trail at the break. John Anderson, despite having more possession, more of the ball, they're 1-0 down.
Yeah, they've kept the ball well, moved it well, and haven't created a great deal though. You would say Leverkusen's had the better chances as well, Razor. You know, the goal's unfortunate. There's not a great deal Guimaraes can do about it. There's not a great deal that he knows about it. But yet again, it's a set piece that we don't deal with. We don't defend properly. Ramsey's had a couple of saves to make. Flecken, on the other hand, at the other end, 2 saves to make from Barnes. Comfortable enough, but we haven't really worked them enough, have we? For all the possession that we haven't created a great deal.
They can definitely do more, can't they, in the second half? And I'm sure we'll see Johan Wissa at some point, but they've got to create chances for the forward players, because Voltemada hasn't really had a sniff, has he, on his return to Germany?
No, he hasn't seen a great deal of the ball. I mean, we've had a lot of the ball, we've kept the ball well, but we haven't got in behind. We haven't really, as I said earlier, worked the goalkeeper. It's been pretty comfortable for them, and when they broke, you know, they've looked dangerous when they broke, and Ramsdale's had a couple of important saves to make.
Second half live from the Bay Arena in Germany will follow very shortly, and we'll go through all the scores at half-time in the other Champions League matches in a moment. Remember, you can get in touch anytime tonight on WhatsApp. We'd love your thoughts on the game as it's being played, and later we'll be with you till 10:30 on BBC Radio Newcastle tonight. Stick BBC at the start of your message, and our WhatsApp number is 08000 321 333. Newcastle United trailing at the break in their latest Champions League encounter. It's Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 0.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Durham cricketer Chris Rushworth has announced he's retiring. And I'll tell you what, Colette, the name Chris Rushworth haunts me.
Why?
Because I used to be the voice of God at Durham County Cricket Club. When you're in the flow, and you have to say Chris Rushworth. Chris Rushworth.
I think before I've said it, Chris Rushworth.
Yeah, there were times when I literally just called him Chris Woof Woof on the... Great career. Glad he's gone.
That'll be said at my leaving party.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
And this is Simon Pride here in the Total Sports studio. Matt, of course, back tomorrow morning, and he'll have reaction to this evening's game. Newcastle trailing at half-time by 1-0 then to Bayer Leverkusen. And Ando, you've highlighted there with that little chat with Razor where perhaps Newcastle have fallen a little bit short. So does anything change at half-time personnel-wise, or do you leave it at
No, I don't think anything changes at half-time. I think you'll give it till 60 minutes, 10, 15 minutes into the second half, see how it's going. Look, we haven't played that badly, Pridey. It's just that we haven't created a great deal. We haven't worked the goalkeeper enough. Where at the other end, when Dave broke, Dave looked dangerous, and Ramsdale's had a couple of important saves to make.
Johan Wissa is the obvious choice when it comes to somebody who can come on and knows how to stick the ball in the net. Obviously, he's had a little bit of game time. I mean, might he get 20 minutes?
I would think so. I think he'll get 15, 20 minutes. Look, Valdemar hasn't seen a great deal of the ball on his homecoming. We haven't got the ball into him. It's all been in front of Leverkusen. We need to get around the back of fullbacks. You know, Harvey Barnes wants to come inside all the time. You want to see him get on the outside of his fullback, pull balls back into the penalty area. But look, words will be said at half time, but we need to be better. We need to be better in the final third of the pitch.
Is it one of those games, though, when you get people like us chatting at half-time and talking about what needs to change, etc.? Is it one of those games that's so evenly balanced, really, that there's actually not a great need to change anything much and just keep doing what they're doing? Perhaps just need that extra bit of dynamism in the final third. But apart from that, maybe rewards will come without having to change anything.
I think what they've got to be very, very wary of is throwing too many bodies forward, because Leverkusen have shown on the odd occasion when they break well. And they get people into advanced positions, and they can hurt you. So, you know, you got to be patient. You can't go gung-ho. Can't be throwing too many bodies forward, but we just need to create a bit more.
You go and have your half-time mince pie, Ando.
Cheers.
And we'll be back with Razor for second half commentary, and you'll be able to react after the game as well with Ando and myself up until 10:30 this evening. A couple of messages that you've already sent. Mickey says Newcastle are lucky that they're not down to 10 men for a start. The Toon are trying to come down the middle, but the build-up's too slow. There's nothing on the right-hand side of midfield. Gordon is doubled marked. Joe Linton is a total passenger, and he doesn't look interested at all. James says we struggled there. I'm very happy it's only one. Let's regroup, come out firing, get ourselves back into it. How are the lads, says James. And the verdict from William in Washington is plenty of possession, but no penetration. Very predictable. Never worked their keeper. Like schoolboy football at times, when the whole team pushes up and Leverkusen just launch it and then they're clean through on goal. Awful tactics and very disappointing, says William. So, yeah, perhaps a little bit more scathing than Ando with his half-time analysis. Some of the people that are messaging and all about opinions would love to hear yours. 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. Start your message BBC. You can text 81333 again, beginning with the letters BBC, and we are on air until 10:30 after the game this evening. What about elsewhere then in the Champions League tonight? The two early games both ended in high-scoring away wins. Ajax, who desperately needed a victory just to keep themselves in with any chance whatsoever of progressing in the competition, they have won 4-2 away at Karabakh, despite going behind twice in that game. 3 late goals for them, so they won 4-2. Villarreal 2, Copenhagen 3, so the Danish team with a much needed victory. They still have a sniff of getting out of that bottom 8 and into a chance of the playoff. And yeah, they trailed by 2 goals 1-1. No, they didn't actually. It was 1-1, and then they went on to win the game 3-2. That'll teach me. And so, yeah, they were never behind in it, and won it right at the death with a goal from Cornelius. Elsewhere, the games are at half-time, like the Newcastle game. Athletic Club 0, Paris Saint-Germain 0 at half-time score. Benfica lead Napoli by 1-0. And it's Borussia Dortmund 1, Bodo Glimt 1. Dortmund going ahead on 18 minutes, but an equaliser for the Norwegian team shortly before half-time. Noni Madueke has scored for Arsenal, who lead at Club Brugge by 1-0. The deadlock hasn't been broken in Turin. Juventus 0, Paphos 0, but Manchester City lead by 2-1 in Madrid. They went behind to a Rodrigo goal just before the half hour, but Nico O'Reilly and then Erling Haaland from the penalty spot have turned it round. It's 2-1 to Manchester City at half time in Madrid. In the Championship, Leicester City lead Bristol City by 2-1. They were 2 up, but Bristol City have got one back early in the second half there. 0-0 between Derby and Millwall. Ipswich, going great guns at the moment, leads Stoke by 1-0. And Hull City are 1 up on Wrexham. In League 1, Blackpool lead 2-0 at Rotherham. And in League 2, it's Crewe 1, Newport County 1, and Oldham Athletic 0, Walsall 1. And some scores in the Women's Champions League to bring you as well. Full times, Barcelona 3, Benfica 1, and Valerenga 0, Paris FC 1. And then they're at half-time in these other matches. Atletico Madrid leading Bayern Munich by 1-0. Chelsea leading Roma by 3-0 at half-time. And Manchester United behind at home to Lyon by 1-0. So that's you up to date with all of the other scores across Europe and domestically. Locally, in the Northern Premier League East Division, Heaton Stannington are playing Grimsby Borough, and Heaton Stan lead by 2-0 at half-time, and Grimsby Borough are down to 10. They went down to 10 on 14 minutes, and Heaton Stan have taken control there. We'll keep you up to date with everything going on. Second half coming up from Leverkusen very soon as well. But time before that to bring you a bit more sports news, starting with cricket, and the Australia captain, Pat Cummins, will make his comeback from injury when they take on England in the third Ashes Test in Adelaide next week. The fast bowler returns from a back problem, and of course the hosts are already 2-0 up in the 5-match series. More from the BBC's cricket reporter Henry Moran.
Cummins' return to the squad is much anticipated and will only add to England's already sizable challenge. With over 300 Test wickets, 91 of them against England, he's a fearsome prospect and describes himself as good to go after the back injury that has ruled him out of the first couple of tests. Cummins actually hasn't played any cricket since the third test against West Indies in Jamaica in July, when he first felt pain in his back, and his return has been carefully managed. Australia are also likely to welcome back Nathan Lyon. The off-spinner was surprisingly left out at Brisbane. It'll be an attack almost at full strength, with the exception of Josh Hazlewood, who's been ruled out of the series. Whatever way you look at it, England will have their work cut out.
Henry Moran reporting there. Not sure whether I'm looking forward to the third test or not. The former England batter, David Malan, feels that fast bowler Mark Wood may have been on his last tour with the Test team. Wood was ruled out of the remainder of the series in Australia yesterday with a knee injury. Had plenty of knee problems, hasn't he, Mark Wood? And after a number of issues in recent years, Milan says that Wood's international career may well be drawing to a close.
I wonder how many times he wants to go back to the well and how many hours he wants to be spending in the gym by himself and struggling with injuries. I guess the decision might not be his as well. He might want to keep playing cricket, whether it be franchise cricket. I guess the England coaches, selectors, director of cricket, whoever's in charge after this series, it's up to them to see and decide whether he's part of their plans.
Going to bring you some rugby union now. The Newcastle Red Bulls will be looking to record back-to-back wins in the European Challenge Cup when they take on the South African side Lions on Saturday evening. The Red Bulls beat Lyon in France last weekend, and their head coach Alan Dickens says it's important that they build some momentum.
Yeah, you're right, and I think I said last week how much I do enjoy this competition. Since I last worked in coaching this competition, the South Africans have been at it, so it's kind of brings a new dimension to the comp, and one that we're looking forward to this weekend. And as you said there, the way that South Africans play rugby, it's abrasive, but equally they also want to play rugby, and if the time's right, they'll look to attack.
And the nature of this competition is such that if you get a couple of wins behind you, you're not guaranteed to progress, but it's pretty likely you've put yourself in a really good position to move into the knockout stages of the competition. So will you be going strong in the team again this weekend? Will it look very similar to before?
Everything I've talked about the last couple of weeks about competition within the squad. We want to create that competition. I certainly we don't want players to get complacent. We also want players who are on the fringes to push and actually see a way into the team. So that's what we've used the last couple of weeks for, and we'll continue to do that. And I think we do that. It'll only breed positivity and that competition that we're working hard for within the squad, and hopefully that then transpires and we see it on the pitch.
That was Alan Dickens in conversation with our rugby union commentator, Dean Gray. Heaton Stannington have popped in a third against Grimsby Borough, so that should be enough. Now, Dale Pearson has scored 51 minutes. They lead by 3-0 against 10 men. And back for the second half in just a tick. Keep the messages coming in. Dean isn't impressed by what he has seen from Newcastle in the first half. Like watching a netball team, he says nobody seems to be allowed to run with the ball. It's turgid nonsense, moving it like they're playing with a bowling ball. We do play some awful, unimaginative football, says Dean, who isn't impressed by the first half. If you'd like to send us a message during the course of the second half, or indeed at full time, let me give you the numbers one more time. 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp, 81333 on text. Start your messages with the letters BBC. The second half in Leverkusen is imminent, and Razor and Ando will bring it to you.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport Northeast.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Referees just had a word with players in the middle, and now it's whipped into the back post. It's in. The header's taken a touch off a player in green. It might have gone in off Bruno. Andrick, the captain, backstick, tried to head it back across, and I think that's gone in off Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes, one captain onto the other, and they are behind early in Germany. It's Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 0.
Total Sport Northeast.
The Champions League. Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
1-0 down after 45 minutes in Leverkusen. They are ready for the second half. Newcastle United, no changes. Ramsdale, Livramento, Chow, Byrne, Hall, Captain Bruno, Tonali, Joelinton, Barnes on the right, Gordon on the left, Voltemada centre forward, and Bayer Leverkusen, Flecken in goal, Kwanzaa, Andrich, Tabsoba at the back, Arthur, Maza, Garcia, Grimaldo across the middle, Tillman, Poku and Schick, the forward players. Wissa is among the United substitutes. They had more possession than their German hosts in the first half, but they trail and haven't really had a big chance in the game. The ball trickled just wide of the post after a corner. Maybe Baltimore got a touch. Barnes with a couple of saved efforts that were comfortable. He's on the ball here, finding Livramento, who bursts into the box, cuts it back, but it's blocked. Good work by Alejandro Grimaldo to block Livramento's cross, because that was a fast start to the second half from Newcastle United. And it's cleared along up the left-hand side. And back to Ramsdale as Newcastle play it out from the back. And there has been a change for Bayer Leverkusen, which was being made just as I was reading out the team. Looking down at the team sheet, that's why I should watch the pitch, because they've taken off Patrick Schick, the big centre forward, and replaced him with Christian Kofan, who is a Cameroon youth international. He has been brought on at half-time to lead the line through the middle. He's got 5 goals this season. In the meantime, a yellow card has been shown to Ernest Poku, because Harvey Barnes has been caught by Poku. It was his hand, but it seemed to brush against Barnes' face.
Dear oh dear.
Rather than it being a swing of the elbow, for example.
That's unbelievable. boy knows absolutely nothing about that whatsoever. How you can give a yellow card for that, I do not know. How you can give a free kick for it, I do not know.
The free kick for Newcastle following that contact is just ahead of halfway on the right. Bruno scoops it up to the edge of the area. Chow just misses out with the header. Arthur tries to come away from Gordon, plays it against him and wins a throw. But they're still in their own half, and quite deep in their own half as well, where they will be taking this from. Back it goes to Kwanzaa, who has a touch. Then it goes inside to the 6-yard box, flicking away. Burns header. Joelinton climbs. Livramento's onto it. Moved into midfield there to get the ball. Header goes backwards from Bayer Leverkusen. Gordon putting pressure on Kwanzaa, who is in his own box. Shows good feet to get away from Gordon and come up the line, but he's lost it to Hall, and Newcastle have the chance to get in with Lewis Hall in the area. Hall across the face of goal and just wide of the post. Voltemada in the middle was behind the ball, and Barnes couldn't get there in time, and Hall's cross or shot just rolled past the base of the post. It was so close, and if anybody had got a touch, it would have been a goal.
Yeah, it just needed the slightest touch, didn't it? Needed somebody coming in back post. He sort of scuffs it, doesn't he? Doesn't hit it clean, young Lewis Hall, but somebody's got to bust the gut to get into that back post. They do that, it's a tap into an empty net.
Do you think it's a shot or a cross? Because it could have been either.
It could have been either, but
maybe it was a shot.
Sort of scuffed it. It wasn't the cleanest strike in the world, but either way, somebody needs to be coming in and around the back. If they do, that's into an empty net.
So Flecken's had two comfortable saves from Barnes, and there have been two moments where Newcastle have seen the ball go just past the post as they trail 1-0 in the Champions League. Back it goes to Flecken. Voltemada's on him. Flecken's losing out in the box, and he's brought him down surely. Referee says, has he given the penalty? Yes. Voltemada fouled by Flecken, who dallied. He waited too long, and Newcastle's centre forward on his return to his homeland was there. He was right on top of him. Flecken had one touch, another touch, then stepped back from the ball, and then in the corner of his eye could see Voltemada, who nipped in, took it across him and away from goal, and the former Brentford keeper has brought him down, and the referee has pointed to the penalty spot, and this might be Newcastle's route back into the match if VAR confirms the decision.
Goalkeepers that do your head in. Yeah, it's a penalty all day long. Can have no complaints about that at all. Just put your foot through it.
Bayer Leverkusen players being told by the referee to get away. They're being sent away in no uncertain terms. They did not like the decision, but it was from a mistake from their goalkeeper. We've got the VAR penalty check graphics on the screen, but Anthony Gordon's put the ball on the spot, so it will not be Voltemada, it will be Gordon, like it was against Burnley and against Spurs. Another penalty kick from Anthony Gordon. He scored two of these in Belgium in October against Union Saint-Gilloise. This is monumental. They need to get back in the game. Gordon could do that for them by scoring this penalty. Here he comes, and he buries it. Anthony Gordon delivers yet again for Newcastle United in the Champions League, and he runs to the supporters in the corner, who are leaning over the railings at the front of the away section. Huge celebrations in Leverkusen. Gordon sending Flecken the wrong way. He put it to the goalkeeper's right, and they have equalised early in the second half from the penalty spot. Anthony Gordon, his 7th goal of the season and his 5th in the Champions League. It's Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 1.
Well, Flecken will be having nightmares. I mean, it's what he's trying to do, I do not know. But saying that, every penalty he's taken this season, each one's got better and better. It's a quality penalty. He just tucks it right in the corner, back in it.
Well, they needed something, and a goalkeeping error, and a very well taken penalty again from Anthony Gordon. And Newcastle are level, but they're defending now because the header on has found Poku, and he's gone on the outside of Chow, who gets his boot to the ball and is able to steer it behind. The header on there from Christian Kofan was able to send Poku into space up the left side, and it's great defending from Chow to stop the ball reaching the middle, but it is a corner kick.
Yeah, he's done well, hasn't he? He's just tracked them all the way back in, stuck one of those big legs out. Corner kick on this near side.
In swinging corner, Livramento away at the near post. Bayer Leverkusen have it on the left wing, 30 yards out. Alex Garcia flicks it around Livramento. Maza with a cross, Chow with the clearance. Different game now, Ando, isn't it? The biggest cliche of the lot about what a goal does to a game, but it has affected the atmosphere to an extent, and Newcastle will be full of belief now. Having been 1-0 down at half-time, they've got back into the game, and, well, who knows where it goes from here. Bruno winning it back on the edge of the area and trying to clear, and wins a free kick. You were saying plenty of time left, lots of time left.
Yeah, there's loads of time left in the game. Plenty of time left to go and get a winner. Not the start of the second half Leverkusen would have wanted. I mean, the last thing they would have said was keep it tight for 10-15 minutes, and then your goalkeeper goes and does something like that.
Well, a goalkeeper that has plenty of experience from the Premier League, played against Newcastle before, he's a Dutch international. It doesn't matter who you are, you can make a mistake, but yeah, he thought he had longer than he did, and then panicked when he saw Baltimore nip in, brought him down. And Anthony Gordon is Newcastle's penalty taker when he's on the pitch, and he did the business from 12 yards. Long ball from Flecken here, Dan Burn. No foul, both players ran into each other. Burn for Newcastle and Kofan for Leverkusen. Ramsdale has it, gets it back from Chow, ball on the floor, up to Tenali, 10 yards ahead of the area, out to Burn, back to Ramsdale. Bayer Leverkusen, German champions, undefeated 2 seasons ago. Last season finished 6th in the Champions League, went straight through to the last 16, where they were beaten by Bayern Munich comfortably over 2 legs. And they didn't start this Champions League campaign all that well, but back-to-back wins, and then 1-0 up at half-time here. And the game has changed now with Newcastle level from the Gordon penalty. Defending to be done now as it goes wide left to Poku. And they've won a corner. Chow again, the defender. Alejandro Grimaldo trying to whip in across from the left.
Yeah, got to defend this one.
Outswinger from Grimaldo, every green shirt back for Newcastle in their away kit tonight, up against the black and red of Bayer Leverkusen. It's the outswinger. Livramento gets a flick. Oh, that's casual from Joelinton. He brought it down under control and then took his time, and then realised he had to get rid, so he pushed it out of play on the far side, and they're probably going to have to defend potentially a long throw here, or at least a throw 15 yards out, which they play back up the line by Leverkusen. Lewis Hall sticks it out again. Joelinton was so cool with the control, but not the clearance though.
No, he got caught in 2 minds as well, and then decided take no risks, just stick it straight out of play.
since the Newcastle goal. The home side have enjoyed plenty of possession of the ball in the United half. They've got it again on the floor. Alex Garcia back to Tapsoba. Baltimore closes down, he drags it back, plays it across him to the right hand side to Andrić. Tapsoba with it again, Joelinton right on top of him, and Baltimore closing in on Andrić, who releases just in time. Joelinton's gone down, looks like he's holding his groin in the centre circle as Leverkusen attack, and Tonali covering. Gets there, Livramento then tries to help it away. Joelinton's picked himself up and might have to come into the action here to try and win it back. Leverkusen, Tillman in the D. Challenge comes in, no foul. They play it to the left, Grimaldo and Poku here. His cross is headed away, back out to the wide position. 1-1 the score. Maza, Kofan with a shot, Chow with a block in the middle. He plays it against an attacker. Livramento slides in, Barnes gets there, knocks it around his man, tries to run. Barnes sent tumbling, and well, to Newcastle's astonishment, doesn't get a free kick, but the match has been stopped because Joelinton looks like he needs treatment here, and they're calling for Lewis Miley, who's warming up on the touchline to the right hand side. He's come back to the bench, takes off his pink bib, and I think they're going to have to take Joelinton off. He was down holding his groin. The physio's come on, but they are preparing to make the substitution.
Yeah, it looks like he's not going to be able to continue. Young Miley. Just seen the penalty again. Flecking his, oh dear. Great penalty as well, Razor. I mean, he just whips it straight across into this far corner. Brilliant.
Well, it's got them level, and we are on 59 minutes in the Bay Arena. Joelinton is able to walk off. He's pulled his shorts up on the left leg, and Lewis Miley's going to come on now. Bruno comes across to the touchline for a drink. Straight swap in midfield. Miley's done well when he's played recently, and depending on how bad this injury to Joelinton is, Lewis Miley might be getting half an hour ahead of a start in the derby at the Stadium of Light on Sunday.
Yeah, Joelinton doesn't look too happy actually. He's not too happy with the substitution. He was saying to the bench that he could have went back on.
Well, he's gone to the dugout rather than along the tunnel. He's frustrated, Joelinton, didn't want to come off, and they've made a positional change with the midfield, with Bruno going to the left and Miley the right of the three. Tonali still in the centre. By Leverkusen with the ball. Gordon gets his boot to it, it goes backwards. Hall challenges for it with Arthur, and the Brazilian comes out of that one, that duel on top, inside to midfield now. 1-1 on BBC Radio Newcastle, and Poku trying to knock it around Livramento, but that's great defending from Livramento, who not only got in the way, brought it clear after turning in the corner, but he's overrun it up the line, and it's a throw from Bayer Leverkusen, back in play immediately. Great noise from the away section and from the Leverkusen ultras to the left. Big atmosphere, as you expect on a big Champions League night. Newcastle United back in the game, and Leverkusen play it to the edge of the box. Bruno, that's a clean challenge, good win. Gordon now goes backwards with it to Chow. Short ball to Livramento, he's closed down quickly, lifts it up towards Barnes, who couldn't get there, but it's won back by Miley. Good first involvement from Lewis Miley, and Barnes to Baltimore on the right wing. Baltimore inside looking for the run of Barnes, but he was a long way behind it, and Flecken comes to pick it up.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest of balls, was it? Getting a lot to do, never getting there.
Flecken puts it down on the floor and this time releases quickly with Voltemada closing down from his right shoulder like he did for the foul for the penalty. Tonali with a win in midfield. Here goes Anthony Gordon attacking Kwanzaa on the outside. Gordon's shot hits the post. Anthony Gordon back off the inside of the post, low down. It's a great effort across the keeper, and Newcastle so close to going in front for the first time tonight.
Oh, great effort. Comes alive in these European games, doesn't he?
He's got it again, Gordon, from Miley's pass. He's given it to Bruno, right of centre. Voltemada wants it lifted in. Voltemada's header. He was all over the defender. And, well, I don't think a foul's being given. He pulls his international colleague, Robert Andrich, up after Bruno was trying to pick him out with the cross. And it's behind for a goal kick a long way wide. But Gordon with an effort, great effort. He's unfortunate there.
It's a great strike. Just smacks it with his left foot. Keeper's beaten all ends up. Smacks the post with it. Good effort.
Short goal kick, Tapsoba to Flecken. Andrich forwards into midfield, goes backwards with the pass. Alex Garcia. Newcastle have got players up on the edge of the area. Grimaldo here on the left. Up the line to Poku. Chow's followed in there and won it for Livramento, and Bruno can have it just outside the area. Bruno Guimaraes to Nick Voltemada. Voltemada's shot deflects wide. Corner kick on the left for Newcastle United. Voltemada turned and shot, and it may have been heading wide anyway, but there was a big touch off the defender after the centre forward was fed by Bruno, and the skipper goes across to take the corner.
Yet again, Leverkusen making their own problems, trying to play out in the back again, giving it away in bad areas.
Referee again telling players to watch what they're doing and saying that he is keeping an eye on things. Round the back, Newcastle have three. Plenty of movement now. Bruno with the delivery, a deep one. And like the Lewis Hall corner in the first half, it bounces in the 6-yard box close to goal, goes behind, because players who started at the back went to the front and to the middle.
Everybody's gone near post. Nobody's peeling around the back at all. And it's another great delivery. If you get somebody staying out from there, they're going to have a free header at goal.
Yeah. 1-1 the score. But they've had a good 5 minutes there, haven't they, with a couple of efforts. Gordon so close to giving them the lead. 65 on the clock. This is definitely there to be won, isn't it, John Anderson?
Yeah, it's finely balanced, there's no doubt about it. But we will get other opportunities. We've seen in the last couple of minutes Leverkusen trying to play out from the back. They won't change the way that they play. So you will get opportunities.
Flecken, long ball forwards, too long for Poku. Chow picks it up. It's going to be a throw. He's dropped it now for Livramento. Elanga and Murphy warming up on the near touch line. I'm sure we'll see at least one of those. We'd like to see Elanga with his speed get at the Leverkusen back line. United play it to Ramsdale. Burn at the edge of the area onto Lewis Hall, who's attacked well tonight. Gordon on that far touchline comes inside, then turns on the outside, then comes back inside, plays it back to Hall. Short pass from Gordon. Burns got it, has a touch, rolls it over to the right to Chow. Livramento could get it, back to Burn it goes. Centre of Newcastle's half, up to Bruno, but pushed forwards by Leverkusen. Kwanzaa stepped in to win it, and they've got to get set here and defend. In it comes, deep cross to the back post. Ramsdale managed to backpedal and claim and it was probably comfortable enough in the end, but the way it was whipped in with a player free back post,
easy
there was concern for a moment.
Yeah, easy take.
Hall now in behind for Gordon, cut out by Andrich at the back and played to Flecken. Voltemade closing down, keeper first time ball to Grimaldo, he's let it run, and he's then lost it to Livramento, and it's forwards for Miley. Miley's got to play it inside, it's just behind Barnes, he looks for Bruno, Voltemade with it, playing in Gordon, but it's cleared. They just couldn't quite get the last couple of passes right, Newcastle.
It's overplaying again though, right? Overplaying, just take the shot on.
Chow to Tonali, they got a throw from that. Livramento on the touchline, inside to Barnes. It's a heavy touch, but Lewis Miley's there to keep Newcastle in possession on the right wing. Livramento back to Chow. Lifted up to Bruno, on for Livramento to get after. He's kept it in and won a throw. Did well to get there, Livramento. There was a lot behind that ball from Bruno. He's played, as the manager referenced yesterday at his pre-match press conference, a lot of football, more than they would have liked Livramento since his comeback from injury after the international break, and it's been another big shift. And he's gone to get a towel to dry the ball, and he might well be taking the chance to just get his breath back. In the box, Dan Burn, Malik Chow near side of the 6-yard box. Miley behind them. Voltemade in the middle. Livramento's throw is headed away. Barnes laid it off and Tonali slipped. And now Newcastle having to defend a counter-attack with Poku. Tonali getting back at him. Poku edge of the area, turns and then blasts it over. But off a deflection. And it was Anthony Gordon or Lewis Hall. Lewis Hall got all the way back, sprinted back, and managed to get something on the ball to help send it over the top. Whoa.
Yeah, he just lost his feet, Tonali, and then they broke. But the decision making was wrong. He could have rolled it square. Boy would have knocked it into an empty net. As soon as he cuts inside, roll it square. Goes for the shot, all does well. Throws his body in the way of it.
Both teams have had big moments in the second half. That one there for Bayer Leverkusen. Newcastle hitting the post after scoring. Voltemade gets to the corner kick. It's sent back in. Takes a big deflection and it will be a throw for Leverkusen in line with the penalty spot on the near side. 20 minutes remaining. Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall have a conversation as Johan Wissa joins Elanga and Murphy on the touchline. Voltemade with one chance really, the shot that deflected wide. He's making a run in behind here because Miley's won it in midfield and crosses the halfway line. Miley protecting the ball, turns back, looks for someone else in a green shirt. Momentum of the move is gone, but they still have possession. It's played back into his own half to Livramento and Tonali to Burn. Bayer Leverkusen get players behind the ball as they prepare to make another change and bring on the former Premier League player Nathan Teller. Gordon knocks it around his man, left wing towards the corner. Now fronted up by the defender, has an angle for the cross, not a bad one, but headed away. Tonali's brought it down, Bruno's brought it down, sorry, and then left his boot in and caught his man. So free kick is awarded to Bayer Leverkusen. Christian Kofan, the half-time substitute striker, but he's all right. It's a free kick, and now the change is being made by Leverkusen assistant Roger Meyer, with Kasper Hjulmand, the manager, away for personal reasons. On comes Nathan Teller, and off goes Ernest Poku, who had the break, the counter-attack there, and also picked up a yellow card for rushing his hand into the
scandalous yellow
face
card
of Harvey Barnes.
Yeah.
1-1
yellow card for something he knew nothing about.
1-1 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Swept across to the near side. Header on there by Grimaldo. And then a back heel from Teller. Nicely played, and Leverkusen keep possession. No further activity on the Newcastle bench, but they still have the three boys warming up. Teller, first chance to run at Livramento, decides to come back in and play it to a teammate. Now Maza whips a cross in, and climbing was Kofan, but he couldn't get there. Goal kick.
Yeah, didn't really fancy it, did he? Kofan wasn't the bravest.
"72 minutes. The Union Saint-Gilloise 4-0 success. It was a comfortable night. It's their only away win since they returned to Europe 2 seasons ago. They did get draws in Milan and Paris in their last Champions League campaign. This is their third of 4 away matches this season. They're looking for Barnes here, edge of the area, headed away. Tonali's got it down on the floor, sent Hall wide with the pass. He has to turn and play it back into his own half to big Dan Burn. Ramsdale in the D, always available, Ramsdale, for a pass to feet. That's a good ball, up to the feet of Tonali. And on to Bruno in space in the centre circle. Bruno looks to the right, found Livramento. He's got loads of room. Voltemada wants the cross. It's too deep for him, and it's headed away by Arthur, and Gordon lets it run for a throw in line with the penalty box.
Yeah, not the worst ball played in. Into a good area. Make them defend it. That's all you can do.
Gordon on the outside, delivers the cross, and a header is in! Lewis Miley has got that! And Newcastle United have turned it around in Germany. 1-0 down at the break. 2-1 up with about 15 minutes to play. Oh, brilliant for the travelling supporters as the players celebrate in the corner again. The cross was sent in, and there was a header only a couple of yards out away from the goal. Anthony Gordon, who scored the penalty and has hit the post, delivered a cross, and young Lewis Miley got up above his man in the 6-yard box to head the ball into the bottom corner. What a great moment for the teenager who came on for the injured Joelinton, the desire and the run to get there, and then the header, the finish away from Flecken. 74 minutes, Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 2.
Oh, Gordon, it's a delicious ball. It's a great ball, and young Miley wants it more than the defender. He gets above him. Great header, just powers it into the bottom corner. But great wing play by Gordon again. As I said earlier, he comes alive on these European nights. It's been excellent again, but it's a smashing header, isn't it?
Miley's been bright since coming on. He's just made a good block challenge there in midfield after Bayer Leverkusen got play restarted. That's the sort of ball into the box that Voltemada would be dreaming of, but it was Miley who made it his and ensured that he got there before the defender, just made the run almost at the last second, timed it perfectly, just got over the top of his man in the middle and guided the header in. A turnaround for United, but it's not over. Teller, Chow with the clearance, and then Miley with another ball away. It's into midfield. And Tapsoba for Bayer Leverkusen on the left wing now with Alex Garcia. Newcastle just dropping in, everybody behind the ball. Now it's about game management again. Grimaldo with a cross, dangerous header across goal. Ramsdale parries it away. Hall and Gordon make blocks, then a shot on the turn, saved by Ramsdale, centre of the goal. The header guided across towards the far post. Ramsdale across, just pushed it out, and he pushed it out into an area where Hall was beaten by an opponent. Gordon managed to stop a shot being taken, and then it was kept alive with an eventual effort that came in from about 15 yards out, and Ramsdale with a comfortable save eventually. And now Newcastle over the top for Barnes from Gordon, but the referees brought it back for a foul in midfield. Oh, and that's a big disappointment because Barnes was in. The Dutch referee has spotted something. Bayer Leverkusen get the match restarted. It's happening, and it's all happening at quite some speed here. We'll come back to you in a moment, Ando, watching from TV pictures in the BBC Newcastle studio. Dangerous ball in by Grimaldo. Some appeals for a penalty. Referee says no. No foul, but it is going to be a corner kick by the looks of things. Dan Burn went into the challenge with Kofan in the centre of the box. Grimaldo, who's got good delivery, whipped it in. It's a goal kick, actually. Bayer Leverkusen, that's rather presumptuous of them. Took the ball to the corner, but the last touch was off Kofan, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking for something that's never there. Two players going for a ball, challenging for it, nothing in it whatsoever. And he's right, it is a goal kick as well.
So much happening, and watching from TV pictures in our studio. Matthew Racebeck in the Bayer Arena, live on BBC Radio Newcastle. You may have sensed this anyway. We do have a slight delay, Ando, only about three or 4 seconds, so not much, but you have multiple replays which enable you to analyse the game. As Gordon gets it now from a backward header, misplaced by Bayer Leverkusen. Newcastle have brought Murphy on for Barnes, and Murphy straight into the attack, hangs up across, back post, flick away and behind by Arthur, and a corner kick. They got Murphy on just before they restarted, and he's straight into the play in the penalty box on the outside. Lovely cross hung up, just couldn't find Voltemada, but corner kick for Bruno to whip in. 79 minutes, 1-0 down at half time, but thanks to Gordon's penalty and Miley's header, they are 2-1 in front. Here it comes from Bruno. Referee watching players at the back of the 6-yard box again. That's where there could be any sort of infringement. Bruno, another curler towards that same area of the 6-yard box. This time a defender in the middle headed it, but everybody's gone near post again, and the ball's got enough whip to go out and come back in, and enough power, Ando, to reach the back of the 6-yard box. Why doesn't somebody just stand there?
I don't understand why somebody just doesn't stay there. Oh, they've given it away again.
Yeah, Tonali and Bruno, and Voltemada dragged to the floor. 30 yards out, central position, free kick awarded to Newcastle United. It's going their way at the moment. They were 16th in the Champions League table at one point this afternoon. Obviously everything changes, not just dependent on their result, but with other games being played, and they are up to 6th as it stands on 12 points, ahead of Real Madrid and many other giants of the European game, not least because Real Madrid are still 2-1 down to Manchester City in the Bernabeu. Arsenal 3-0 up away at Club Brugge, with 2 second half goals adding to their 1-0 half-time lead. They've got 10 minutes to see this out, and we'll come to you, Ando, for a thought about game management shortly. After the free kick, Sandro Tonali plays it square to Tino Livramento. Murphy comes to get it. Livramento goes up the line. Murphy has got a player to take on, shimmying back to Tonali with the pass. Here's curling ball in. It's a good one. Chow! Oh, what a great save. Flecken down by his near post. Malik Chow, who got 2 headers in the win at Everton, almost had a third Newcastle United goal there. Lovely ball in from Tonali. Chow's headed it down into the ground. It's not quite in the corner, but Flecken still had to make a huge save to keep it at 2-1 Newcastle.
Oh, it's a good save. It's a real good save. He heads it down, just skips up off the grass.
Short corner taken. Murphy with a shot, hits the post. Jacob Murphy has hit the same post Anthony Gordon hit earlier in the half. Short corner on the far side. Now Gordon getting back to play it to Ramsdale, edge of the area. Ramsdale under pressure with a clearance that's blocked in midfield. He gets back up and gets back towards his goal. and Teller forces a save from Ramsdale low down to his right, and he's having a bit of a go at his colleagues. Every time something happens at one end, there seems to be an immediate counter from Bayer Leverkusen. Jacob Murphy, curler with his right, bouncing shot, hits the base of the post, so close to a Champions League goal from Murphy. And then Bayer Leverkusen attack, here's the corner, Voltemade slices his clearance, it's behind for another. Gordon chased back, played the back pass, but it wasn't where Ramsdale wanted it. He had to clear under pressure, then get back towards his goal, and off his line got down to make a save. Here's the second corner, back post, it's a bit of pinball, and Ramsdale's got it and gets a pat on the back from two of his teammates. Ramsdale's got it safely in two hands. Analyse that, Ando.
Difficult. I mean, it's a great effort by Murphy. You know, we know that he's capable. Again, it just smacks the post full on, and then all of a sudden they just break down the other end, but wide open. I mean, you're 2-1 up. You're 2-1 up away from home. Just do things properly. Don't keep throwing too many bodies forward.
Well, on 83 minutes now, maybe they will take a bit more of a conservative approach. Newcastle, Livramento's header, Chow heads on, but they've got loads of space in midfield. Tonali got in the way of Miley and headed it forwards, the Italian, straight back to a black and red shirt in midfield. Newcastle are leaving gaps, so are Bayer Leverkusen. They've been trying to bring on Claudio Echeverri, the Argentinian who's on loan from Manchester City, for about 5 minutes, and he's still waiting as Elanga, Ramsey, Willock and Wissa, who I think were sent out to warm up, they're all standing still with their hands on their hips watching the match. I mean, it's a fascinating game. You feel that it's not necessarily over. There could be more drama. Kwanzaa to the right hand side to Arthur, back to Kwanzaa, close to the Newcastle box. Could come in here now from Grimaldo. It does. Livramento, important header. Or they've got it back in the penalty area, and a combination of Hall and Tonali make a block, and behind it goes on the far side. Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 2. And here's the change as Echeverri comes on for Malik Tillman, the American, who hasn't really had a big impact tonight. Left-footed corner from the right. Plenty of whip. Voltemade gets up, heads it across the box. There's Dan Burn to try and get it away. It comes out to the left, brought outside the penalty area and back into midfield. Rolled square by Arthur, swept across to the right wing. Gordon closes down. And no pressure on the ball as the cross comes in deep, but there's too much on the ball. Sarcastic cheers from Newcastle fans at the other end as it beats all the players who went forwards in the attack, and Aaron Ramsdale goes to collect it to take a goal kick. No sign of any further Newcastle changes. 2-1 up, 5 minutes of normal time remaining on BBC Radio Newcastle in the Champions League.
Yeah, it's all about just seeing it out, isn't it? You know, we've spoke about game management, and in the last few weeks we haven't done it so very well. Just hope that we can see this one out. I still think we'll get another opportunity though, Razor.
They've hit the woodwork twice. They've scored a penalty, Miley with the header after Gordon converted from the spot to turn it around. Didn't have big chances in the first half, they have in the second. Possession stats now at 50-50. Newcastle more of the ball in the opening half, but most importantly, the only statistic that matters, as you always say, is the scoreline, and it's going their way as they look for a fourth win in 6 in the Champions League. Tonali's brought it forwards, out from the back after winning it, but it's gone for a throw. Anthony Elanga comes back to the bench. We'll let you know as soon as we know if there's going to be another substitution. Bruno with a high press. Alex Garcia brings it across the pitch, sends it in behind. Hall doesn't let it run. He could have done, headed it forwards. Bayer Leverkusen get it back and played into their own half. 87th minute, Tonali strong in the challenge in midfield. Free kick given. Just got it's a bit too rough with Ibrahim Maza. And Malik Chow there with an interception, edge of the area. Livramento, bit of ball juggling, trying to bring it down. Can't really get it under control and he's lost it. Leverkusen yet to deliver a cross. They have it in a central position on the floor, 10 yards from the Newcastle box. Now Tapsoba, the centre-back, pushed right up, and Newcastle are deep. But there's a block by Murphy, and Voltemada goes off after it, but Andrik is there to lift it across to the far side. Now edge of the area, Bruno making a challenge, and Ramsdale comes out, but they've slotted it in. It's another late goal conceded by Newcastle United, and how crucial could this one be? Alejandro Grimaldo has popped up with a goal. The through ball, and as Ramsdale advanced, he played it off the keeper, and it's gone in. And with only a couple of minutes of the 90 remaining, Newcastle United, is it game management again? Is that the issue? They have conceded. Their lead has been wiped out. It's Bayer Leverkusen 2, Newcastle United 2.
Oh, how many late goals are we going to keep giving away? It's a poor goal to give away. He just runs off. I don't know who he runs off, but there's a little ducky. He gets played in behind. Nobody tracks him. Ramsdale comes out. Just goes under his body.
Well, they were, 2 minutes away from the end of the 90, and whatever would have been added still to play, but their chance to make it potentially into the playoff round. Let's see if they can go back in front. They've got it on the left wing in the corner. Bruno back to Gordon. They are wanting to win it. They're on the attack, Newcastle. Bayer Leverkusen going to make another change. Lewis Hall makes a forward run, sends in a good ball. Murphy just can't get there. It's come to Livramento, inside to Bruno. He's turned on the edge of the box. Challenge comes in. Bruno gets back up, plays it to Chow. Up to Livramento in space. Livramento could roll it in, and he's won a corner. Loic Bade, the French international defender, will be next on. And they're making that substitution now by Leverkusen. And the player going off, just waiting for confirmation of who it is. It's Arthur, the wing back, so they put a centre back on. Newcastle have a corner. We've reached the end of the 90. The numbers board will tell us there will be 4 minutes minimum additional time. Only 4 minutes. Short corner taken by Hall. Livramento sends in the cross. Oh, just over the bar. Whoa, that would have been a really, really smart goal from Malik Chow. A hooked volley. What technique. And it just went over the top. And
just couldn't get over it, could he? Just couldn't get over it. Ball's behind him, he's done well. As you say, good technique, but comes off the top of his foot and just loops straight over the crossbar.
BBC Radio Newcastle. They will have slid down the table after conceding that late equaliser. How many times is it going to happen to them? Or are they going to allow it to happen, maybe more to the point? They must not lose it from here. But Voltemada, heavy touch, and it runs across the middle when he was possibly going to get Murphy in. Tonali and Chow. Initially Chow have won it back, and Lewis Hall drops his shoulder. Long ball for Voltemada to chase. It's not really his game to run in behind. Tapsoba comes across just inside the penalty area. Only 4 minutes of added on time. It's not really long enough, but if they score, they'll be delighted it's only 4 minutes, but they don't really have very long to get back in front, as Eddie Howe makes a double change very late. The players coming on: Jacob Ramsey, and for his Champions League debut, Johan Wissa. Ramsey has replaced Gordon. And Wissa for Voltemada up front, but with such little time to play. Back to goalkeeper Flecken. 2-2. Over the halfway from the keeper's kick. Chow header forwards. It goes up into the air off a Bayer Leverkusen header. And Newcastle, in their eagerness to get the ball back and get an attack going, have conceded a foul. A free kick in midfield. Ball is in play. This one looks like it's going to head for a draw, but they must make sure that they don't lose. Just outside the area, Leverkusen now with possession, left wing. Grimaldo, who's got the equaliser, his 9th goal of the season, 3rd in the Champions League. They make a run here. Teller's cross. Hall's header clear. Volleyed back in and wide. Might have clipped the side netting, but it was always going wide. And Newcastle got the ball at the other end of the pitch, not where they want it.
Yeah, total miss hit. Ramsey always knew it was going wide, or Ramsdale I should say.
BBC Radio Newcastle, last couple of minutes, last moments of this Champions League phase fixture. Wissa trying to get his first touch, headed forwards. Hall has to look backwards, then he's turned away and gone forwards and been tripped. So free kick given for United. And there's the referee's final whistle. No time to take it. And another damaging late goal for Newcastle United. But they take a point for the first time in the Champions League this season, having had 3 wins and 2 defeats. And that's it. Players not happy that the whistle came, but they only added 4 minutes on despite the penalty and substitutions. You normally see more at the end of the game. Big disappointment that this one got away. Having said that, their position at half-time, 1-0 down, was one they needed to overturn, and they did, with a Gordon penalty 6 minutes after the restart and Miley's header on 74. They led for a further 14 minutes before Alejandro Grimaldo got in and played it sort of underneath Ramsdale but off the keeper and rescued a point for Bayer Leverkusen. So Newcastle, who had gone up to 6th in the live league table when they were winning, are down to 12th with 10 points from 6 matches. Still in a good position, but by no means assured of progress to the knockout stage, with 2 matches remaining. PSV Eindhoven at home next is huge at the end of January, and then a week later Paris Saint-Germain away may well be a match that they need something from. Big disappointment again, John Anderson, letting a lead slip late on.
Yeah, I mean, we said right at the death, wasn't it, about game management? You know, we've seen it in recent weeks where at the end of games, game management hasn't been great. Yet again tonight, we throw a lead away. You just sit in and protect what you've got. I know you've got forward-minded players and you've got pace, but you just sit in there. You know, you just want midfield players to sit in there, protect your two centre-backs. And it was a poor goal that we gave away. Look, second half was a lot better. We didn't create a great deal in the first half, created an awful lot more in the second half. Got the penalty, hit the woodwork twice, then we get ourselves in front. And unfortunately, we couldn't hold on to it. Disappointing.
You will hope, of course, that it doesn't cost them and they can still get another result, probably against PSV, but it's going to be difficult now, isn't it, to finish in the top 8, because they will need results in both games. 16 points was enough to go through in 8th last season for Aston Villa, who finished in 8th. But 2 wins, particularly with one of them needing to be in Paris, and PSG may be through anyway, but they're only, I think, 3 points ahead of Newcastle as it stands. That feels like a hard ask, so it may well be playoff round, which they will take, but it's what they wanted to avoid because of the extra games, if they can get there.
Look, they didn't want the playoff rounds. They wanted to get through automatically, because those playoff games means an additional 2 games. You know, we've had enough games as it is. The last thing you want is those additional 2 games.
Yeah, that may be what they face. We will have to see. It goes on a break, the Champions League, for more than a month now. The German League has a winter break coming up soon, so Bayer Leverkusen will be getting some time off over the festive period. No such luxury for Eddie Howe and Newcastle United, who continue to play midweek every week, and that will be extended if they reach the League Cup semi-finals. But it's the derby on Sunday, live on BBC Radio Newcastle. Commentary from both a red and white and black and white perspective, as usual, as you would expect. How does this result and the late goal conceded after a comeback and a turnaround in the game set them up for a massive occasion on Sunday?
Look, it's another game unbeaten, Razor. That's the way you've got to look at it. There's no easy games, especially going away to a German side. You know, I thought we were unfortunate with the first goal. I thought second half we came right back into it. You know, we said earlier that we didn't create enough in that first half. Second half, I thought we created plenty. We hit the post. We scored 2 goals. Of course, it's disappointing that you haven't won, that you haven't been able to see it out. But I think it sets us up very well for Sunday. Look, I don't think that the Joe Linton injury looks like it's too serious, because he wanted to stay on, he wanted to come back on, and he wasn't happy when the substitution happened. So hopefully everybody comes out of this one in good health and we don't have any issues come Sunday afternoon.
We'll be with you till 10:30 tonight on BBC Radio Newcastle, so stay with us, have a chat to Ando. Simon Pride will be back in a moment, and you can send us a message on X at BBC Newcastle. If you want to text, it's 81333, put the letters BBC at the start, and our WhatsApp number is 08000 321 333. You must also start that with the letters BBC. Almost a victory in Germany, almost a big 3 points in the Champions League. They just couldn't quite get there, and it's another disappointing goal conceded late on, and maybe more questions will be asked about game management. Bayer Leverkusen pushing for an equaliser that they managed to get as Newcastle United let slip a 2-1 advantage, and despite the Gordon penalty and the Miley header, that late goal from Grimaldo after an own goal in the first half had the Germans in front. It's finished here at the Bayer Arena. Bayer Leverkusen 2, Newcastle United 2.
Back in the Total Sports studio, 2-2 it finished, close, as Razor says, to a victory on the road in the Champions League, but it wasn't to be in the end, and once again Newcastle United fail to hold on to an advantage. So let us know your thoughts now that the final whistle has blown. Razor's off to get some post-match reaction. You will hear from Eddie Howe tomorrow on BBC Radio Newcastle on Total Sport, and as part of the breakfast show, maybe a player or two as well. But if you'd like to have your say right now, best thing to do, send us a message, 08000 321 333. Start your WhatsApp with the letters BBC, or you can text 81333, again starting BBC, or give us a quick call on 0800 234 6565, and you can have a chat to Ando before we go off air at 10:30 this evening. Before I put a few more points to Ando, let me take you through the other scores in the Champions League this evening. Karabag 2, Ajax 4, so the Dutch side with their first win of this season's tournament. Villarreal 2, Copenhagen 3 in Spain. Copenhagen also needing the points desperately, and they won it with a last-minute goal. Athletic Club 0, Paris Saint-Germain 0, Bayer Leverkusen and Newcastle's game you know all about. Benfica 2, Napoli 0, Borussia Dortmund 2, Bodo Glimt 2. Borussia Dortmund being pegged back twice by the Norwegian side. 2-2 it finished. Straightforward enough for Arsenal, the only team with the 100% record in the Champions League. They've won 3-0 at Club Brugge, so they are pretty much assured now, barring a ridiculous turnaround in goal difference, of a place in the top 8 and avoiding the playoffs. Noni Madueke with a couple of goals for Arsenal, one in each half, and Gabriel Martinelli also scored for the Gunners. Juventus beat Paphos by 2-0. Took them a while to break the deadlock, but then 2 goals on 67 and 72 minutes meant that they won 2-0 in Turin. And Manchester City, a huge victory for them in Madrid. They've beaten Real Madrid by 2-1. They had to come from behind, Rodrigo putting the home side ahead, but then Nico O'Reilly and Erling Haaland with a penalty just before half-time turned it round for City, and that result stayed like that through the second half. 2-1 it finished to Pep Guardiola's team. In the Championship tonight, Bristol City 2, Leicester City 2. Bristol City coming from 2 down to snatch a draw there. Derby 1, Millwall 1. 2 late goals in that match. Ipswich have beaten Stoke by 1-0, and Hull City have beaten Wrexham by 2-0. In League 1, Blackpool won 3-0 away at Rotherham, and in League 2, Crewe 2, Newport 2, and Oldham 0, Walsall 1. And in the Women's Champions League, Barcelona beat Benfica by 3-1. Paris FC won 1-0 in Valerenga. It finished Atletico Madrid 2, Bayern Munich 2, and Chelsea thumped Roma by 6-0. Not such a good night for Manchester United, who lost 3-0 at home to Lyon. So that's how things look elsewhere in Europe and domestically this evening. Heaton Stannington in the Northern Premier League East Division had a convincing victory over Grimsby Borough. 4-0 the score. Grimsby Borough playing the vast majority of that game with 10 men after an early sending off. So, if you'd like to put your points to Ando, send a text on 81333 or a WhatsApp on 08000 321 333. Loads coming in, so I'll put some of them to you in just a moment. Ando, it was a familiar story in many ways, that game, wasn't it, in terms of the way Newcastle played and perhaps the way that they weren't able to close it out?
Yeah, I mean, first half had plenty of the ball, didn't create a great deal, didn't work the goalkeeper enough. Second half, we were a lot better. You get the penalty. Not too sure what the goalkeeper's thinking, but that's by and by. And then we controlled it, I thought. We've hit the woodwork twice. Then young Miley, grey header, get yourself in front. And then it's just all about seeing the game out. There's no need to go chasing a third goal. You just sit in, you let them come at you, and you use your pace, you break on them, and more chances and more opportunities will come along. And game management is something that we've spoke about in recent games, where we haven't done it well, which is really strange, because
that's not like an anyhow team, is it?
Because over the seasons we've been really, mentally strong, but able to see games out. And we've spoke about dark arts before, and the way you use them, and you do it when you're 2-1 up and you want to see games out, and you buy soft free kicks and one thing and another. But yet again tonight we just couldn't see it out, and it's bitterly disappointing, because, as I say, the second half performance was excellent. You know, we scored 2 goals. We hit the woodwork twice. Fleckens made a great save from Chow as well. You know, but disappointing that we couldn't see it out.
Let's speak to Mark, who's on the line. Good evening, Mark.
Hey, gents, how's it going?
Hey, Mark.
What did you make of that then, Mark?
I'm not a happy bear. I said to Colin beforehand, what I wanted to see tonight was 90 minutes of football. I'm going to disagree with Ando a little bit, but the way it is, we've got a team full of warriors that want to battle. We can't sit back. We're not good enough at it. And every time this season, we've got the last 10 minutes, that's it behind the ball. It's not a natural game. In the past, with Eddie's Howe's teams that are naturally renowned for being fit and doing it for 90 minutes at a high pace, for some reason last 10 minutes, we stopped doing it. We're letting teams come on. It's not a natural game. And so many times in the Champions League and the Premiership this season, they sat back and the team doesn't know how to do it. It doesn't know how to see the game out that way. We've got to stop playing attacking players because we're falling short every week doing this. Every week.
I don't think we did sit back. I thought we were still going forward trying to win games, and we get caught on breaks because we've got so many players in advanced positions. You know, and it was a game, especially in the second half, that we could have been out of sight in. But I think, especially in Europe, you're saying we're not good enough to do this, but you look at the quality of players that's in that side, the international players that are in that side who are used to doing this with their national sides, who are used to seeing games out. You know, Tonali's a seasoned international. Guimaraes is a seasoned international. You know, Chow is an international player.
Why are we keeping so many goals in the last 10 minutes if we're so good at it? And it's the goals we're conceding are soft goals. They're not quality goals a lot of the time. They're against Spurs, we fell against it. The Brighton games, it just, there's something happened in 10 minutes. We stop being the battling, rugged, war-torn players that we've got, who are exceptional at it. And we've seen it so many times. The last 10 minutes, we just seem to, I don't know, the mentality just seems to go, the concentration goes. I don't know what it is. It's something into it.
I don't know now, with this happening in the last few games, whether it's a confidence thing or not now. Whether they think, oh, we've got to make sure we don't concede again. And I don't know whether it's a mental block or whatnot. But that goal again tonight, the boy just dummies it and he runs and nobody tracks him and nobody picks him up. Now, somebody's got to see it. Somebody's got to track him. Somebody's got to pick him up when he runs forward, and we didn't do that. You know, it's bitterly disappointing.
Yeah, we're losing our intensity, and that's 10 minutes. Whether it be at the back or not, you look at some of the games two seasons ago, we call it like the Champions League with all the injuries. It wasn't just sitting back. It was you were chasing the ball down. We weren't giving them time to play it through.
Yeah,
and the intensity just disappeared, and that's what Newcastle's about.
I think this season they've had to curb that intensity to a degree with the amount of games that they're playing. They're playing 3 games every week. You know, you're not getting a breather. It's not as if you're playing from Saturday to Saturday or Sunday to Sunday. It's every weekend, every midweek, then back again. And you can't keep doing that intensity. You've got to curb it to an extent, or you'll run out of steam.
With that in mind, Ando, then, does that concern you, a game like that ahead of the derby, when you don't expect the team to be that much different? It'll take a lot out of them.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't expect him to play the team tonight that he did. I have to say, I thought he would have mixed and matched. I think the team he played tonight will be as close to the team that he plays at the weekend as well.
Can I ask his opinion on something?
Yeah.
Because this is something I've seen. And to me, it's a bit of a conundrum for Howe. I think Gordon started playing better football. I think he went this start of the season. And it's a conundrum. I think on the left-hand side, for a transition going from defence to attack, Barnes and Hall fit better. Because Hall looked shackled today. is I don't like it when Gordon starts pointing fingers out here and into it. It just whole seems shackled where you watch he's playing with Barnes, he's getting more. They just seem to play off each other better from a transition side. I think everybody agree when you got Hall of Lorenzo now, we're a different side transitioning.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. What would you,
Hall a little bit.
What would you say to that, Ando? Then, do you think that Hall's better when it's Barnes on that side with him?
I thought Gordon was very good tonight. You know, I thought he was direct. He got at the fullback. He wanted to get on the outside of the fullback. I mean, the cross that he hangs up from Miley's goal is excellent. He took his penalty away. He's unlucky with the one that hits the post. Barnes is a different type of player because he wants to come inside. He doesn't want to hug out there. He wants to come inside, which leaves that space for Hall to get forward and join in. I think that's down to the manager. I think the problem he's got is he's got two quality players who can play on that left-hand side. He can only play one of them there. At this moment in time, he thinks that probably Gordon's got that, is better there, but, you know, it's a decision that he's going to have to make.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. Good to speak to you this evening. The number, if you would like to give us a quick call, get you on air before 10:30, is 0800 234 6565. Gaz has sent a text message. He says, we are traditionally, Ando, a team that is poor at game management. It's been a weakness of our game for a long time, but we could always cover it by scoring goals. So those soft last-minute goals didn't matter. Well, we just aren't scoring enough goals now to play the way that we play. I mean, are Newcastle, like he says, they're traditionally a team that is poor at game management? We've just been discussing how they didn't used to be.
I think Mark makes a good point that we've got a way of playing that's all about intensity and all about getting at the opposition and putting them under pressure and squeezing them in. I think that intensity has dropped this season, and I've given the reason why. I think it has to with the amount of games that we're playing. You can't keep playing with that total intensity, because if you keep doing that, you're going to get found out. Players are going to run out of steam.
Or you can do that if you've got a big enough squad to be able to rotate a lot more than they are able to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, and he has rotated. You know, he made 6 changes at the weekend. We've seen him make changes elsewhere, and he's had to do that with the amount of games. But I don't know whether it's a confidence thing now, where it gets laid on in games, and all of a sudden we're thinking we've conceded here before, we've been here before, and we've conceded. We conceded against Spurs, we conceded against Burnley, and yet again tonight we've conceded. So it's something that needs to be ironed out. And the problem is he can't get them on the training ground to iron these things out because of the amount of games that we've got.
Yeah, Derby on Sunday, then it's Fulham in the EFL Cup, and then another game the following weekend. Dean says, thrown it away again. Martin in Newburn says, how did we not win this one? William is in Washington and has also sent a message, yet more poor game management. We defended too deep. William agrees with Mark, who was on earlier, gave away such a poor goal late on, very annoying. It's a mentality thing now. Threw it away after so much hard work, probably won't even make the playoffs now, says William. Let's have a chat to Steve, who is on the line next. Good evening, Steve.
Hello there, how's everyone doing?
Hey, Steve.
How are you doing, Steve?
Doing very well because of the story I've heard while the match has been going on. A mate of mine, well, a couple of mates of mine, went over there who didn't have tickets. They went over there with a couple of lads who did. But they managed to get into the game in the home, one of the home ends.
Right.
At half time, one of the German lads sitting close to them went to one of the concessionary stands, come back with a tray full of drinks and some nibbles, handed one of my mate a drink, pulled the zip down on his coat, pointed at the badge on his shirt, Newcastle fan. Right. He said, yes, give him the drink. Said, and this is the funny one, which reminded me of the story you were saying about the only funny German. He said, for you, Tommy, the beer is cold.
So, okay. Extraordinary tale.
I've been waiting for the call back, and I'm getting another message off. I'm waiting for the call back. Then all those, my two mates and all those German lads they were with are now in a curry house laughing and joking.
There we go then.
Good stuff.
Mates for life.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking of there is, well done, better than the Marseille game. Well done, not just as a Newcastle fan, but as a pure football fan. Well done, and thank you to those German lads.
And good ever getting to a curry house so quickly as well. What did you make of the game, Steve?
I thought it was about 40-60 there off the first half, but the second half I thought we bossed it. It's some people say it's game management and all that, how we lose how we give away a late goal. I'm thinking it just might be a stroke of bad luck.
It's bad luck once or twice, but when you keep doing it on a regular basis, it's not bad luck, Steve.
It is, but sometimes you're Irish, John. You know, luck can go either way for a long time. You're Irish,
yeah.
But sometimes it happens. But it's not Eddie's fault. It's not the team's fault. Sometimes things like that happen. And as you were saying before, with our squad, you've got to conserve the energy because the games, we're getting 3 games a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to slow down. I thought his last substitutions, which was close to injury time, I thought, no, if you're going to bring those lads on, you bring them on with a few more minutes to go, not close to injury time. You give them that time where they can do something. They can't do something with only...
Yeah. A couple of other people have made that point, Steve. Yeah, a couple of messages about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and find them now. There's loads of messages coming, so I can't. But yeah, anyway, thank you, Steve.
Cheers, Steve.
For your call this evening.
You've probably seen the photograph of me bed. I've loved that. I sent the photograph before the game started.
Oh, missed that. I don't know whether he's bet or not, but never mind. Right. So yeah, a couple of these messages then, and yeah, there are some about the substitutions very late on. Brian says another act of self-harm, soft goal to give away late on. Why push forward? Why no dark arts, which we're so good at? And why didn't he give Wissa 15 minutes at the end and hit balls up to him? Asks Brian.
Yeah, I mean, the substitutions that he made late on, you know, I don't understand what impact he feels them players are going to have in the game with just a couple of minutes left on the clock. Whether he's just trying to run the clock down and kill a bit of time, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen Wissa being introduced for about 15-20 minutes because he needs to get a little bit of game time. What he got tonight's not really going to benefit him in the long run.
Rich from Berwick says, why does Howe make these seemingly pointless substitutions in stoppage time? Seriously, anyone can see that Voltemada was tiring in the 80th minute, so putting Ramsey and Wissa on in the 92nd minute was pointless. In-game management is woeful, and it's something that has already cost us, says Rich.
I don't know about costing us, but yeah, it's something that he's done for a long time. You know, I think some of the substitutions that he makes, people question them, and I didn't really see the benefit of the last couple of substitutions that he made.
And John has sent a message in as well. Much better second half, but yet again, another lead that we haven't been able to keep hold of. Could have been 6th tonight instead of 12th. I'll go through the table in just a moment. It needs sorting out. It's going to cost us. Unlucky to hit the woodwork twice. If either goes in, we win. Miley looked great and improved us when he came on, and Gordon's getting better. Ramsdale, to be fair, made some decent saves. I'm trying to take it as a point gained rather than 2 dropped. Is this, though, a mental issue? Is it physical? Is it a confidence thing, Ando? And by the way, please stop calling Ramsdale Ramsey. Have you doing that in the commentary?
I did it a couple of times.
Did you? Near enough. And yeah, that's from Johnny. Makes a few points there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a confidence thing or not. You know, it was disappointing against Spurs. It was disappointing against Burnley, even though we won the game. You know, that was a game we were in total control of, and poor penalty to give away, and then we could have given an equaliser away right at the death when Burnley didn't deserve anything out of the game. And I thought first half today, I thought we played okay without ever really creating too much, and their goalkeeper didn't have a lot to do. I thought second half we were a lot better. I thought the intensity was better in that second half, and that's when we're at our best, playing at that intensity. But as I said earlier, Simon, with the amount of games that we got, it's very, very difficult to do that on a regular basis, trying to do it three games a week, because it just takes its toll on players and it catches up with them.
Let me run you through the Champions League table. And Arsenal, the only team with a 100% record after 6 matches, so they have 18 points, with Bayern Munich 3 points behind them. Then there's a further gap of 2 points to Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester City and Atalanta. And then on 12 points, so just another point in it there, Inter Milan, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, and Liverpool just outside on goal difference of those top 8 positions, also on 12 points. Borussia Dortmund and Spurs have 11, and then Newcastle, Chelsea, Sporting Lisbon and Barcelona have 10. So clearly still a heck of a lot to play for, Ando. The table, as it always is, because there's only 8 games played, very, very tight.
Look, it looks like it's going to come down to the last 2 games, doesn't it? Obviously,
probably the last game.
Yeah, obviously PSV at home is going to be huge, but going to Paris could be because I mean them only getting a point tonight as well.
Well, there's some unfinished business against Paris Saint-Germain, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I mean, the last time we were out there, we were robbed, weren't we? The referee gave a penalty that was really, really harsh. So, it could come down to the fact that it's not going to be one for the faint-hearted in Paris when we go to Paris.
Let's have a chat to Richie. Good evening, Richie.
Hello, Paddy. Hello, John. You all right?
Hey, Richie. Yeah, good, thanks.
Good. Hi, John. It was a bit disappointing, wasn't it? I thought, the way the game started, and they went 1-0 up, and then, we got it back to 1-1, then 2-1, and yet again, it's a goal at the death that will give away again, John. It's a bit disappointing, but I'll take a point before the game. I was listening to Total Sport. I was listening to you and Pridey chatting on, and I would have took a point before the game started, John. To be fair, it was a strong team. I was speaking to you on Monday night, and I thought it would have been a similar team to what played against Burnley, but. Like I was saying, you don't know what Eddie Howe's going to do you, John? And
no.
At the end of the day, John, we take a point and move on to the derby, don't we?
Yeah, look, it is disappointing, because I thought the way we played second half with that intensity and getting ourselves back into the game and then getting in front and not seeing it out was disappointing. I know we hit the woodwork twice in the second period as well. But we were more direct. We got at them. We put them under pressure. And it was there for the winning. That's the disappointing thing about it. It's a little bit like the Spurs game, Richie, where that was there for the winning as well, and we just couldn't see it out. But as you say, it's not a defeat. It's another game unbeaten. And now we go again on Sunday when we go to Sunderland.
That's it, John, as well, and like I was saying to you on Monday night, on paper, I thought would be a strong contender going into this game, and it was just the way the game started. Like I say, it was 1-0, but like you say, it was there for the taking, and we've given it away again in the last 5-10 minutes,
Yeah, I mean, look, their first goal was... it was so unlucky. There's not a great deal that Guimaraes can do about it. He doesn't actually know anything about it.
Didn't know nothing about it, did he?
It just hits him on the back, and it could have went anywhere, and unfortunately it spins off his back into the back of the net. But these things happen. But yet again, it's another goal from a set piece, which is disappointing. And it's something that we've got to correct. We've got to start defending set pieces properly. On the positive side, the second half was so much better. We created so much more. and disappointing that we couldn't get all 3 points.
Richie, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts. We're almost out of time, but I do have time to read some more of your messages very quickly. It seemed tonight that Newcastle's corners had been rehearsed. The players in the box rushed to the near post, yet Bruno then overhits the ball most times. I can't understand it. I agree with Ando about I can't read that, but I can't read the rest of that, to be honest with you. Find me a fan who wouldn't have taken a draw at half-time. Not a bad result, thanks to everyone on commentary, says Gareth. We did the hard work again, only to throw that hard work down the pan, says Ian on Teesside. And James says, if I have to watch Ramsdale let another goal dribble past, I'm going to cry, he says. And David says, I thought we got the rub of the green with the 2 penalty decisions. Overall, a draw, a good result. Ando, thank you very much indeed. Thanks to Reza as well, who's still out there gathering post-match material, which you'll hear on BBC Radio Newcastle tomorrow when you wake up, and on Total Sport as well. At one point this evening, Newcastle were up to 6th in the table. They were down to 16th at one point as well. Ended up in 12th place after that 2-2 draw. Still all to play for in the Champions League with 2 matches left. But now the time has finally come to focus on one thing and one thing only: the events of Sunday afternoon.
Referees just had a word with players in the middle, and now it's whipped into the back post. It's in. The header's taken a touch off a player in green. It might have gone in off Bruno. Andrić, the captain, back stick, tried to head it back across, and I think that's gone in off Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes, one captain onto the other, and they are behind early in Germany. It's Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 0. Back it goes to Flecken. Voltemada's on him. Flecken's losing out in the box, and he's brought him down surely. Referee says, has he given the penalty? Yes. Another penalty kick from Anthony Gordon. He scored 2 of these in Belgium in October against Union Saint-Gilloise by scoring this penalty. Here he comes, and he buries it. Anthony Gordon delivers yet again for Newcastle United in the Champions League. And he runs to the supporters in the corner, who are leaning over the railings at the front of the away section. Huge celebrations in Leverkusen. Gordon sending Flecken the wrong way. He put it to the goalkeeper's right, and they have equalised early in the second half from the penalty spot. Anthony Gordon, his 7th goal of the season and his 5th in the Champions League. It's Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 1. Gordon on the outside, delivers the cross, and a header is in! Lewis Miley has got there! And Newcastle United have turned it around in Germany. The cross was sent in, and there was a header only a couple of yards out away from the goal. Anthony Gordon, who scored the penalty and has hit the post, delivered a cross, and young Lewis Miley got up above his man in the 6-yard box to head the ball into the bottom corner. 74 minutes, Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 2. Now edge of the area, Bruno making a challenge, and Ramsdale comes out, but they've slotted it in. It's another late goal conceded by Newcastle United. And how crucial could this one be? Alejandro Grimaldo has popped up with a goal. The through ball, and as Ramsdale advanced, he played it off the keeper, and it's gone in. And with only a couple of minutes of the 90 remaining, Newcastle United, is it game management again? Is that the issue? They have conceded. Their lead has been wiped out. It's Bayer Leverkusen 2, Newcastle United 2.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle. The Late Show with Becky Want.
And
If you've just joined us and you'd like a shout out on the Late Show, the number is 08000 321 333. Tell me how your Wednesday has gone so far. If you want to text me, it's 81333 with late as the first word. I would love to hear from you. I've heard from Ruthie in Dover, who did Tai Chi today, so feeling positive, and thank you for that gorgeous photograph of sunshine. Yes, sunshine over the white cliffs of Dover. Didn't see much of that here today. Actually, it wasn't so bad this morning. Also, I have a photograph from Paul, who said, I thought Santa had come early this morning because I saw a trail of lights passing overhead at 5:30 a.m. I've googled it and they're satellites, and actually Paul managed to grab a photograph of them, and there's dots of light stripped across the sky. Yes, you would have thought it was Santa and his reindeer, or that you were hallucinating and you'd had too much of the red the night before. But thank you, Paul. On the subject of red, Dave from Halifax is with us. He's just had a lovely stir fry with a glass of red. Also, Rachel in Saddleworth, Angela in Leicester, Angela looking forward to Trevor Horn's road trip of my life because he's visiting Leicester. Rose in Norwich, T in Sheldon, and Jean from Twyford, all with us on this Wednesday night.